Good afternoon to you on this Wednesday, December 16th, 2020. The voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, he's not with us today as he is getting ready to be the voice of the Tigers tonight when he calls all the action against the Tulane Green Wave in the conference lid lifter for the Tigers in the 2020-2021 season. Of course, in 2020, we're playing a bunch of conference basketball games in mid-December, but Dave won't be with us today. He'll be back tomorrow after the Tigers' very important game tonight down at Fogelman Arena. Devlin Arena as well. Matt Devlin, the former TV voice of the Grizzlies, Dad's honored as well on the gym on the campus of Tulane University. That game tips at 8 o'clock tonight. You can watch it on ESPN2, and, of course, check out Dave's call of it, and Dave will be back with us tomorrow in a very important game for the Tigers. Obviously, the conference opener, but also just with getting better. Installed as a 10, 11-point favorite. That's a big favorite for a team that really hadn't played that well all year, still looking and searching for a team identity, as a lot of teams are across college basketball. Already a final today from the SEC. Vanderbilt, they were 2-0. They lose to Richmond at home. Again, at home doesn't have that big of zing to it anywhere in any sport anymore since nobody can really be there. But Vanderbilt, they fall from the ranks of the undefeated, like Tulane, like they are. Tulane undefeated 4-0, the Tigers 4-3. That's tonight. We will welcome Dave back tomorrow and talk a lot about it tomorrow after the result. We will talk about it before the result today. Drew Barrett with me today, pulling double duty as always. The great job producing that he does today, co-hosting with me. And, Drew, we have a lot to discuss today across a full spectrum of sports, including college football recruiting. I can't stand this early signing period, because there are players signing right now with coaches that will be fired Sunday afternoon in college football.
Yeah, there are, and that's the problem that we all saw when they officially moved it up to this early signing period, which is now realistically the real signing, National Signing Day. So it's going to be a lot of moving parts. You know, if and when coaches do get fired and or move to a different job, of how do you negotiate getting people out of their letters of intent? Because let's be honest, most of these guys, they're signing with the coach. They're not signing because the school has the best biology
either
department
head coach
or anything like that.
Or a staffer or an assistant coach that will be out with that coach either being fired or going to another job. I knew it would cause more chaos and more of this free agency that in some regards in college sports, I applaud. It was time. If that coach can leave that ham-handedly, that easily, or be fired that easily, then why can't the youngster? If you had, in your college years, or me in my college years, if we had wanted to transfer somewhere else, we could have. Now, the catch there also, and I don't think this gets mentioned often enough, we weren't on full ride athletic scholarship either. We didn't. We didn't make that. We didn't make that commitment to the journalism department or the history department or the English department, or you go through all the different academic departments. You're not. Now you might, some might be on a academic scholarship, but they still can leave if they want to. So I didn't mind some of the freedom that college athletes are getting, and they should. But this has just caused more and more free agency and more roster dysfunction for everyone, and we'll see it into next year when it will be just the wild, wild west around college sports with the 1 year freedom of movement to do whatever you like. In a normal year, how are you preparing for a bowl game, or do you not care that much about a bowl when you're a lot more worried about your team, except for say 3 or 4, 5, 6 teams? You're more worried about the future than you are getting ready for the Poulan Bowl.
Yeah, it pretty much depends on who you ask in college football. It goes from coach to coach to program of how much they really care about finishing that season on a high note, whether it was a great season, good season, average season. How much does it really matter to you and to your program when you have National Signing Day in the middle of all of this, to where you're preparing for your future, trying to make sure that the guys that you want are the guys that you're going to be able to get here in the middle of November. It just takes away from that. But then again, on the flip side, do bowls even matter anymore? Have they ever actually mattered?
Well, once upon a time, I was deluded into thinking they did. They sure did to me, and
they matter to me, but in the broader picture,
they still do to the victor. Easy to say that game didn't matter after you lost it. Mm-hmm. You get on a roll on going to and winning bowl games, they become more important, which highlights one of the news stories from today: 27-year bowl streak snapped by Virginia Tech, by Justin Fuente and the Hokies. They will not go to a bowl game this year. They're opting out. They don't want to. They join a lot of other ACC members in doing so, other teams from around college football. And today, one that could impact the pool of teams for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. They were here last year against the Naval Academy. They were here against Arkansas on January 2nd of 2016 after the 2015 season, and that's Kansas State. And when we visited with Steve Earhart, the executive director of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Steve has remained very, very loyal, like all the SEC bowl partners, to those contracts, even to where some of these bowl games, maybe including the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, would be a team that most years would not be representative of going to a bowl game. It could be it could be a 2-8 South Carolina in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, but this year they've stayed steadfast in adhering to it and loyal to it. But one of their bowl partners, the Big 12, one of their teams not going. It's why, and I'm going to ask Steve this: Could you possibly see somebody play in two different bowls this year, playing one early and playing one late?
It's a possibility, especially how steadfast Steve has been about having conversations with the Big 12 conference and the SEC conference, that they're going to get representative teams. They're going to have a Big 12 versus an SEC matchup, but with the trickle-down effect of K-State opting out, how does that affect? I don't think, jumping off the page, it comes at you that it's going to affect the AutoZone Liberty Bowl because, like you just stated, they were here last year. They were here 4 years ago. Probably weren't going to be coming back to Memphis, Tennessee for a third time in 5-6 years. So it doesn't directly impact, but it limits your pool and the trickle-down effect of, all right, well, now we got to move everybody else up that might have been behind them to fill other spots. And so, therefore, it limits the number of Big 12 teams that the AutoZone Liberty Bowl could get, and we could possibly see a conference that isn't technically supposed to be represented in the Liberty Bowl, like we've seen the American fill the spot two times out of the last 3 years.
I don't think this will happen, but what about next Wednesday night, a week from tonight, the Tigers in Montgomery? 8 days later, the Tigers in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
I think that's a stretch. It'd be a stretch to really do that. I don't know
anything preposterous anymore.
No, I mean there's actually
on the face of it that's nuts.
It is.
In 2020, 3:12 p.m. on 12/16. Why not?
Why not? I mean, this year, if there's been a year to throw out the record books and throw out actual standards of how things are supposed to be done, 2020 is it. Now I don't know how willing Coach Silverfield and that program would be willing to listen to that, or even, kind of even consider it, due to the fact that I think they're really excited that they're getting their bowl game out early so that the families and everybody can go spend Christmas together after this very unique type of season. And that's why we've seen a lot of the bowl opt-outs, is because of players wanting to go home for Christmas. And you honestly, in this weird year, you can't blame them.
You sure cannot, Drew. You can't blame the youngsters, and you can't blame the administrators. I mean, they're tested and protocoled to death, and I think we will just see more and more of, as you say, the trickle-down effect, and maybe even the cascading effect of bowl games being canceled. No Tropical Smoothie Frisco Bowl this weekend. What in the world are we going to do with our picks on Friday?
I guess just limit them to the conference championship
game. That was the key game.
It was a swing game.
Game for me.
Swing game.
It was the fork in the road game. It will not happen this week. And last night, Bill Hancock on the college football playoff reveal, he was adamant in his comments about the Rose Bowl will be a semifinal game. It will be played January 1. There will be no fans. There will be no family, and they're not looking right now to move. I think that even still could change as we get closer to it. Steve Earhart will join us at 5:30 to talk the business of the bowls and the AutoZone Liberty Bowl coming up 2 weeks from tomorrow at about this time. Can you believe that? 2 weeks from tomorrow is New Year's Eve and the 62nd AutoZone Liberty Bowl. TJ Reeves joins us in his regular spot each and every Wednesday afternoon at 3:30 to talk everything. And he's doing the Big Ten championship game Saturday with Tiki Barber. He's also the sideline reporter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At 4 o'clock from WJOX, the big flamethrower in Birmingham, Pat Smith joins us to talk all things that part of the world, including who will replace Gus Malzahn, or as Houston would call him, Gus Malazan. And it wasn't intentional. Houston just couldn't. He would just garble his name like that. It was not an intentional slight, as a lot of the Gus acolytes thought. But, boy, they were a sensitive bunch. How's it feel now, Gus acolytes? You got a little bit of dose of what you handed out to Houston Nutt and a coaching staff some 14 and 13 years ago. At 4:30, we're going to play AD. Every year at this time, all these college administrators, they get in trouble with adding on years and adding on money. Then at the end, how did we have to pay out all of this money? We're going to act like we're the ADs of these places and go through Ryan Silverfield and most of the SEC. Well, some of them speak for themselves. Vandy, South Carolina, and Auburn, they're open for a reason. But we're going to go through as if we were AD. Would we add years? Would we add money? Would we just tell them, thank you, you did your job? You did the terms of your contract. We'll do that at 4:30. We'll also talk about some of the best coaching press conferences through the years. When you win the press conference is that player comes home. When Johnny Majors comes home. When Ken Hatfield comes home to Arkansas. Steve Spurrier to Florida. We'll go through some from the SEC and Memphis with one notable one not too long ago, and some others from college football, and see how they worked out and how they didn't. Like Frank Beamer at Virginia Tech. That worked about as well as any ever, didn't it?
Yeah, it worked phenomenally. I mean, we're talking about them ending the nation's longest bowl streak today, 3 years after he retired at 27. I mean, if that's not success, I don't know what is.
And when he took that job, they weren't talking things like that
no.
at Virginia Tech, because I can remember in the 70s, Billy Murphy, Fred Pankos, Richard Williamson, they had the Tiger program light years ahead of Virginia Tech. They not only were they kind of peer group, the Tigers were way above it. At 4:50, we'll talk the game tonight. The Tigers in Tulane, down in New Orleans. 5 o'clock, Mike DeCourcy, the extraordinary college basketball writer, the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News. He joins us to talk college basketball. Mentioned Steve Earhart. Looking forward to visiting with Steve. I know it's getting down to the decision time for him and all the bowls. We will visit with Steve at 5:30, and we'll wrap up this day around 5:45, 5:50 with Taco Bell Crunch Time. You can join us at the First Bank text line at 67129 or at the First Bank phone line 360-8255. We're with you until 6 o'clock, and First Bank, they are with you throughout the year. Visit them online at firstbankonline.com, firstbankonline.com. First Bank, they know what you need, a reliable, trustworthy Memphis banker that can give you a reliable, trustworthy Memphis banker answer, and do it quickly. They make the decisions about you right here in Memphis. No out-of-town loan committee to go through in Nashville or Birmingham or Atlanta or anywhere else. All the decisions about you are made in Memphis by Memphis bankers, reliable, trustworthy, experienced Memphis bankers that you know and trust. You get that direct answer from that First Bank banker that you're dealing with. Build your success story with First Bank. First Bank, with stories and a record of customers reaching high. Community banks, the preferred lender of people building a success story. Build your success story with First Bank. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. Your nerve level about the Tiger game tonight, Drew Barrett, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being nervous wreck, you need to maybe even leave now, or 1, it'll be a 40-point blowout. Where are you, 1 to 10?
I'm going to be somewhere around a 5, just due to the fact that I still haven't seen anything from this team to really be that impressive. Now, obviously,
I don't know this team yet.
I really don't either. I don't think Coach Hardaway really knows this team, just due to the fact that, and while he said that Cody Topper did a great job and everything on the offensive side, that he's now going to take over those duties and be over both offensive and defense, I think he wants to be more hands-on on the offensive side of the ball, just to really get a full grasp about what he has and who he has to be productive night in and night out. And that's why I'm basically sitting at a 5. If Tulane actually looked decent in the 4 victories that they had, it'd probably be around an 8. But let's face it, it's not like they were beating world beaters to start with.
No, I can't find a gold star win in the Tulane 4-0, but we will talk a lot about that game tonight, and it'll be interesting. Conference opener tonight down on the campus of Tulane in New Orleans. The NFL in the final leg of the season. Games tomorrow, games on Saturday, games, of course, Sunday, game, a Monday night football game, college basketball back, Vanderbilt and Richmond this afternoon, a lot of good college basketball this afternoon, and NBA tip-off. It's almost here. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action at FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique, fun bet types like same-game parlays, and exclusive, always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boost on the biggest events, and bet insurance lets you get more action out of every single game. And when you win, you get your winning safely in as little as 24 hours. Right now, FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Just place any bet on any game, and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back if you don't win your first bet. No strings attached. Seriously. Just place any bet you want. If you win, you keep the cash. If you lose, you'll get your entire bet up to $1,000 back in site credit. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started, and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH so they know we sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook. Promo code CASH, must be 21 or older, and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires 14 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. Merry Christmas and happy holidays and a happy 2021 to you from Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. You can call them at 901-362-8833, and they are offering the December to Remember Golden Opportunity Holiday Sales Event. Great offers on the few remaining 2020 models, and look at all those 2021s at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway. Put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2021 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving great. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Drew, you first.
Sorry, trying to get computer to work and keeps messing me up there a bit.
Get the bells going.
My top story of the day, we just mentioned it. Penny Hardaway and the Memphis Tigers look to bounce back tonight in NOLA against Tulane after their loss to Auburn over the weekend. While the Tigers did, I guess, look a little bit better against Auburn, they still haven't shown anything special that really gives you a lot of confidence in this team that has to change tonight. While Tulane may be 4-0, they haven't beaten anyone really that impressive. But then again, neither has the University of Memphis, so we'll see.
All very true, Drew. And look at the testament to Tiger basketball of a lackluster start, 4-3, not a great win in there, not a humiliating loss anywhere in there. But for both of us, almost copy and paste, it is the top story, man. Tigers against Green Wave, undefeated Greenies. They're at home tonight, 10, 11-point favorites. They're not that good, but it is the first real road test for the Tigers. But it'll be in front of nobody, which is not that unusual at Tulane.
No, it's not.
Because even when it's packed, it's about 1,500 people there, and about 750 of them made the drive down from Memphis to enjoy the great town. A win is expected tonight for the Tigers. A loss would spark more questions than I have answers for.
I definitely don't have the answers for it at this point either.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day, the college football playoff rankings came out last night, and it makes absolutely no sense to me how an undefeated Cincinnati continues to drop in the rankings. I get the fact that Cincy hasn't played in a few weeks due to COVID issues in their program and their opponent's program, but how the heck is 8-2 Iowa State, Florida, and Georgia ahead of the Bearcats? I think this is the committee sending a firm message that no matter how good a Group of 5 program is, they will never be on the same level as the P5 and will never be in the playoff consideration or the minds of the committee to ever be higher than 7.
Drew, I'm sad for my sport. I'm sad for our sport of college football. It has a train wreck of a postseason, and it has through a lot of its history. Something seriously is going to have to be addressed about it for the future of it, or you're going to see more team opt-outs, and I think it will be more regularly than we've ever seen it, of players. When they get through with that rivalry game Thanksgiving weekend, I've done all I'm going to do for Old State U.
Yep.
I'll see y'all later, and no more chances of getting hurt because this just isn't worth it. My not top story, that CFP committee last night. They love them some Iowa State. I like that team, but let's remember they have 2 losses to Oklahoma State and opening day at home against Louisiana Lafayette. Also, no punishment last night for Florida losing.
No,
Florida lost a squeaker of a game, but as a 23-point favorite, playing against a team about to toss the towel and starting a freshman quarterback in his first college start ever on the road at the Swamp. Jeremy Foley, Scott Strickland, Steve Spurrier, Dan Mullen, Florida, that brand, they have them some love from the college football power brokers, don't they?
They really do, and it just really brings to the fact of, is the eye test not anything? Is it just the name on front of the jersey? Because Florida did not look like Florida on Saturday. That should have been punished.
Florida didn't look like Florida the week before in a ho-hummer win over Tennessee.
No.
I don't know that Florida, except for in the cocktail party and maybe one other game really sharp all year. Maybe 63-35 over Arkansas at home, but gave up 35.
Yeah.
And I saw them in Ole Miss's opening day game, and they were good. They won by 16, 51-35, but that defense just not much at all, and it showed last week. We are underway. When we come back, we will check in on all things Buccaneers, all things Tom Brady, and he will be on the call for the Big Ten championship game. Up next, TJ Reeves.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM.
You're scrambling around. You need a haircut. Where you gonna go? I got a place that has 15 locations. I've got a place where details matter. I've got a place that can be invigorating and relaxing at the same time. You know what it is. It's Supercuts. Every haircut ends with the signature hot towel finish. Every haircut matters. When you're getting ready, you go into Supercuts. The stylist will pay attention to every detail. So you get the haircut you want, and of course, you're going to finish with that signature hot towel. You walk out clean, sharp, and not just ready, but super ready. And you might want to ask that hairstylist about what the tea tree experience is. One part invigorating, one part relaxing. The tea tree experience is something you need to try. 15 locations. I mentioned that, didn't I? All you've got to do is go to supercuts.com. You'll find the one nearest to you. Get super ready at Supercuts.
All 75 months at 3.4%. G4 LHF 129.69. MSRP 17,064. Outlander LZO 423.83. MSRP 26,235. PEV LZO 388.19. MSRP 38.1. Outlander PEV qualifies for a 5,836 federal tax credit. Consult your tax advisor. Includes all rebates in the SPF 695. Excludes tax filing license with approved credit. CD for complete details. Offer ends 12/31/2020. Dealer stock only.
Where can you find 0% APR for 60 months? Plus up to $1,000 cash back on 2020 crossovers. Plus $500 holiday cash. Plus payments at $99 a month. We gossip at Gossip Mitsubishi on the Pike during the 2020 year-end sales event. 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage G4. Buy for $11,900 $27,749 or $99 a month. 2020 Outlander, $20,571 or $259 a month. Plus, crossover with 4x4 off-road capabilities with 74 mpg. 2020 Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid EV, $25,099 or $299 a month. Not leases, you own them. And Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Taking on that next oil change yourself is a great idea. We can help you get started. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge full synthetic motor oil and an STP extended life oil filter for just $31.99. You can even get it all fast your way with our next day delivery or free same-day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Before you drive the all-new Nissan Rogue, you gotta ask yourself, how rogue are you gonna go? We talking be one with nature in the desert rogue? Go snowshoeing in Alaska rogue? Or take the long way home just because kind of rogue? Just a question, but with 5 available drive modes, you're sure to find the answer.
Go rogue in the all-new, fiercely reimagined 2021 Nissan Rogue, now with the most standard safety features in its class. See Owner's Manual for important safety information. Auto Pacific segmentation. 2021 Nissan Rogue versus latest in market competitors. Base models compared.
Hi, this is Rob Brown. Join us every Saturday morning on Sports 56 WHBQ from 8 to 10 a.m. and 96.1 FM and the new FM 98.5. We'll be covering the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, college football, college basketball, college baseball. We'll look into recruiting. We'll have guests from around the country with the latest news, the most knowledgeable people out there, the coaches, the players, the people who play the games. Don't forget to join us on the sidelines. Sports 56, 96.1, and the new FM 98.5.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
What I'm saying is this is the anthem.
67129 at the First Bank text line, 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line. We'd love for you to be a part of our show today. Either way you want to join us, you can do so at the text line or by calling us at 360-8255. Drew Barrett pulling double duty, producing and co-hosting with me today as Dave is preparing to do the Tiger basketball game tonight against Tulane, the conference opener on the road at Tulane for this year in the AAC, to talk with us about everything. And he does it every week. He does it very well because he talks for a living as he's Tampa Bay Buccaneers radio sideline reporter, host, and play-by-play on TuneIn Radio, has his own podcast, and he has gorgeous twins as well that I know they may be outside the Santa Claus year, but it's still very festive. TJ Reeves joins us now.
Always good to be with you guys. Hope things are going well in the River City. Now as we're inside 10 days until the big one. I know Hanukkah going on. You got Christmas coming up. And we've got college football playoff championship Saturday, which Brett, and it's National Signing Day too. Brett might rank National Signing Day and the championship games on Saturday right now ahead of the Yuletide in the order of chronology right now, right?
Well, I kind of always do because I'm of the sports mind, but it's a lot going on in a year that we went so long without anything. TJ, I must tell you, I know the schedules are goofy, but I enjoyed watching Richmond and Vanderbilt this afternoon. I like all the matinee basketball. I know everybody can't be at home and near a TV all day like I can. Some people have real jobs, but we're trying to make up for lost time, and I'm enjoying it.
And let us not forget, because again, this year. We're coming to the end of this year. We're now within sight of the finish line. We've rounded the final turn here on 2020, it looks like, God willing. But earlier this, and it seems like this year's been 3 years, but earlier this year, back in like August, we had NBA playoff games in the daytime, NHL playoff games in the daytime at the same time, and Major League Baseball postseason implication baseball games on in the daytime. Over and over and over again, we had that. It was like March Madness, except we had it for like 2 or 3 weeks where it was ongoing. So it has definitely been a different year, that's for sure. One of the most interesting things is that with the exception of college basketball, and you guys I know have been talking about this because the Grizzlies have now just begun to play preseason games, and the NBA's just begun to play preseason games, you would normally have bevy of basketball, NBA we're talking about, and NHL hockey games going on in November and December, and you haven't had that. So the NFL, in particular, with these standalone primetime games, has really taken more prominence, including that Monday night game, holy cow, with the ending. Or should I say, can I dare say it on Sports 56, the holy crap finish. The holy crap finish for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens against the Browns, which the ratings were through the roof, guys.
Well, technically, the announcer they said he was cramping, and
Lamar claims he was cramping. He says he didn't pull a Paul Pierce.
We've all had cramping moments, and I'm not talking tight hamstrings.
The only thing that I will add is video speaks for itself, and that tremendous shot of him running towards the locker room, we've experienced that in our lives, our collective lives, and when you get older, you experience that. That is the I gotta go run if I've ever seen it in my life. I gotta go. And then the guy's in the doorway, and he's shooing him with the I gotta go shoe. Get out of the way.
Get out of the way, man. Get out of the way. This is serious.
If it wasn't that, then those must have been some really, really bad hamstring cramps, because that's exactly what it looked like to me, TJ. But you bring up the fact that back in August we were having all the NBA and the NHL, and I do just want to get your thoughts real quick. Will the NHL, they're eyeing that January 13th date. Will your Lightning get the season started on January 13th? Or we still have more
say it. Drop the puck. Say it. Drop the puck.
Drop the puck, but I don't know what's going on, and I always have general suspicion of the owners in pro sports, and the longer that this goes now, towards Christmas and towards New Year's Day, and they haven't announced their timeline, because keep in mind, you're talking a month from now that you would be playing games. You're not even in training camp mode. You're not even in game conditioning mode, any of that. So I hope that the hockey does eventually get going, but something says to me they may be looking to reduce their season, the length of their season, and renegotiate the deal that they already agreed to. And again, I know Brett wants to get to the college football and the other stuff, but this is an important point. For the hockey guys, they had already agreed to the terms for the 2020-2021 season, whatever that would look like, when they agreed to come back and resume in the bubbles in Toronto and Edmonton. So they had already agreed to this and understood on the front end, we may not be able to play games in Canada. We don't know for the 6 Canadian teams. And we may be playing in empty arenas at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and even at the end of the year. They had already agreed. And the owners now apparently want to go back and undo things again and renegotiate again, and that's part of the holdup. So I'm concerned as a hockey fan. I get it that not everybody's a hockey fan. But good Lord, the last time the Lightning won the Cup, Stats Norsworthy, they canceled the whole season the next year in 2005. We waited a year for the unveiling of the banner and the whole thing.
They were like the Virginia Cavaliers now in college basketball. They held that trophy as defending champs for a long time. Saturday, you will see a champion crowned in the oddest year in the history of the historic, very respected Big Ten. You will be calling the action with Tiki Barber, Ohio State, a 20-point favorite. Northwestern have a prayer Saturday in Indianapolis?
I don't think so for this reason. This is a lot like that game with Wisconsin, about 4 or 5 years ago, where Ohio State was maybe or maybe not going to get in to the college football playoff and beat the brakes off of the Badgers, off of Bucky the Badger. I mean, it was like 59-3, literally, or something like that they beat them by. I don't know if it will be that decisive, but it is a similar scenario right now where Ohio State realizes we've got to be as impressive as possible. And they had an extra week off here, and this whole quirky make it up as you go along. You know, the Big Ten, we were talking about this last week on your show. At this time last week, the Ohio State-Michigan game was off, and we were saying, why does Ohio State not have to play a game last Saturday and Northwestern does have to play a game? That's, you know, if I'm Pat Fitzgerald, if I'm Northwestern, I'm not happy about that. While they get to sit back, rest, prepare for us, get healthy COVID-wise and otherwise, while you have to go and play a game, you know, and you look at, like, Minnesota. We found out that Minnesota played a road game at Nebraska with 33 players either COVID positive or unable to play because of contact tracing, and still went and played the road game, and the Big Ten made them play the road game, which was crazy under the same scenario. So anyway, my roundabout point coming back to it is Ohio State should be more rested. They're the more talented team. Interesting that for Northwestern, they've got a fifth-year quarterback that was the Indiana quarterback, and he's a graduate transfer, and they've got a true 18-year-old freshman running back who played very well last week against Illinois. Their only hope is to grind the clock some and hope Ohio State turns it over and makes mistakes and keeps them in the game. Otherwise, very likely Ohio State wins decisively and then just sits back and sees what happens on the rest of Championship Saturday, guys.
TJ, let's say the unthinkable happens and Northwestern does end up pulling out the upset against Ohio State. And with the CFP's love, apparently, for Iowa State, they beat Oklahoma. Could we realistically see a 9-2 Cyclones team in the playoff?
I don't know what to make of any of their rankings. I'll just be honest with you. And I have worked for them previously at the College Football Playoff and done their official podcast, et cetera. But what they've done the last couple of weeks is contradictory. It doesn't make sense. They don't even follow their own pattern. It's almost illogical even for them that you would leave Ohio State in their 4 spot without playing and then drop Cincinnati for the second consecutive week now from 7 to 8 for not playing. That doesn't make any sense. If you're not playing and you're dropping one team, how do you drop the other one? How do you have Florida still at number 7? I mean, I'm down here in the Sunshine State, although the sun is not shining in the Tampa Bay area right now. We're getting stormy weather with the cold front moving through. But Gator fans have been as quiet as a morgue after what happened last Saturday night. They were as shocked as anybody that they weren't something like 12th, guys, or 14th, that they were still 7th last night after that loss to a 23-point underdog at home, a 3-5 team at home. Again, the committee is doing things that they can't even justify themselves, including having Iowa State in the top 10 with 2 losses, and they have a 17-point home loss to Louisiana out of the Sun Belt Conference. How do you justify that the games and the outcomes actually mean anything if you're going to keep doing that? I don't have an explanation for you, and they don't have one themselves.
TJ, you've called Alabama 2 or 3 times this year?
3 times. 3 times, sir. Most recently in the Iron Bowl.
I can't wait till after you see Ohio State and we hear from you next week, because regardless of how many games they played, you play 11 at a time. You can only play a game at a time. They've only had the time and trouble after Saturday to play 6 of them. But I'm looking forward to hearing from you how you think just manpower on the hoof, runway models, how they look.
I'm anxious to see that myself. And look, we should not just eliminate them in terms of what their legitimacy is or isn't based on their talent. They obviously churn out 4 or 5 or 6 NFL players every year out of that program. They are, they have been really for about the past decade or so the premier program in that conference. And you look at the way they played Clemson a year ago in the playoff, in the semifinal game in the Fiesta Bowl. They were right there with them. And, again, Chase Young in the NFL is arguably the defensive player of the year. You saw J.K. Dobbins in that Monday night game running the ball for the Ravens, and Justin Fields is going to be a first-round pick. I know Dwayne Haskins was a first-round pick a couple of years ago, and was already benched by Washington. But my point is they've got NFL caliber talent. So I'm with you. I'm anxious to see what it looks like. Does Northwestern have the same kind of talent across the board that, let's say, a Florida will present against Alabama? I don't think so. It's the same thing in the Clemson-Notre Dame game, where I think there's much more talent on both sides of the ball, NFL caliber talent from both of those teams. But we'll give Northwestern a puncher's chance, and I'll report back to you about how the Buckeyes look here after Saturday.
And I love Pat Fitzgerald and the job that he's done at his beloved alma mater at Northwestern. TJ, we're up against the clock, so we don't have a lot of time, but I want you to tell our listeners about what the Buccaneers are facing this week with some possible players being out. And TJ,
can Drew kick?
I can't.
Right now for this team, because right now the
don't
kicker,
call Cody
the punter,
Parker either.
Yep, the long snapper, the kicker, and the punter cannot play, apparently, for right now due to COVID-19 contact and contact tracing. Now, maybe if they continue to test negative, one of that group or two of that group or maybe even all three could play by the time we get to Sunday. But the Bucs have kicking issues right now, and they have a road game at Atlanta. The Falcons would love nothing more than to mess it up for the Buccaneers' playoff hopes and try to beat them on Sunday. We'll see, and that game obviously being played Sunday, 1 Eastern time, after the Saturday night, late night Alabama-Florida game will be played in the same facility at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So it's an interesting weekend in Atlanta. We'll see what the Bucs have, and I don't know who's kicking for the Bucs. Maybe Stats loves my names. Maybe we bring back Donald Igwebuike, the old Buccaneer kicker, if he is available to go make a field goal or an extra point.
Is he available? Wasn't he incarcerated for a while?
He may have been at some point. I don't know, but Iggy was a big-time kicker on some bad Buccaneer teams, and I don't know if he could still make a 30-yarder if need be. Who knows?
TJ, have a good one this weekend. Have a great one in Indianapolis, and a good one and a great one with your Buccaneers. And we'll visit with you next Wednesday. Thank you for your time as always. Thank you.
Always good to hang out with you guys. You guys be well, and to the listeners, stay safe. And we will rock on and enjoy the championship games this weekend, the NFL, and much more. You guys behave.
Thanks, TJ.
You got it. TJ Reeves with us every Wednesday afternoon. To watch all these games this weekend, you're going to need to stock up. Maybe not as big a game-watching parties as traditionally in the past, but you're still going to need some of that great Memphis food, and I know where you need to go. That's the commissary. Either place, the new Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. And if you haven't yet for this round of holidays that we're into, call now and order the bird. Just like at Thanksgiving, how great it was for everybody that had it. We can attest, and you need to have your holidays for sure as a foundation with that, with the bird from the commissary. 901-754-5540, online at commissarybarbecue.com in Collierville and Germantown. And while you're picking up the bird or the other food, be sure and stock up with that Memphis-style barbecue. The ribs, they are outstanding, authentic Memphis-style, slow-cooked. Start that barbecue feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos, where they originated in Germantown. The smoked chicken wings, just the best. Then dig into the ribs or the barbecue shoulder. Get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a big sandwich, or on the plate. Comes with beans, slaw, deviled eggs, and bread as well. You can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack. Or a 12-pack at either place, the new Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, getting ready to celebrate the second birthday there, but it's still new to us, or the original in Germantown from the 1980s to now. Walker Taylor and his staff, they've done it the right way, and they appreciate you in this challenging year. They've met the challenges, and they've tried to be there for you. And don't forget the desserts. Best lemon icebox pie, I think, anywhere, and terrific banana pudding, all at the commissary. Either commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown, 754-5540, or online at commissarybarbecue.com. When we come back, we look at the recruiting, and we look at the Tiger class, number 2 at Rivals among AAC schools. I think that's all that matters for the Tigers, where they rank in their peer group, and that's the AAC. That's the league they're trying to win. We talk about that next.
Get happy with Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Did you notice your hot water heater not heating as well last winter? During the cold winter months, groundwater is colder and requires more energy to heat the water, and sometimes old, inefficient tanked water heaters just can't keep up. It may be time for a tankless water heater from Conway Services that never runs out of hot water. Conway Services is making now the perfect time for a new tankless water heater with 12 months interest free, or I'll pay you $250 for that old tank water heater. Plus, these energy-saving models only heat the water you use, saving you money on your gas bill every month. And no more worrying about that tank bursting in your attic either. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier tankless water heater professionals at 384-3511. That's 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old water heater will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
It's on Mid-South employee pricing for all during the Big Finish 2020. So get ready to save big with 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4-wheel drive. IIHS top safety pick $22,990 or $296 a month. Or power up with 2020 Dodge Charger $24,890 or $299 a month. And we're talking Ram Tough in a 2020 Ram 1500 Tradesman Crew Cab 4x2 $31,999 or $399 a month. It's time to get your ride on at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat. So drive past the rest and come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat. 1901 Covington Pike or online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Almost finance through Chrysler Jeep Ram, 3,500 cash down, Charger 4,500 cash down, 4.11 APR, Cherokee MD 15674, MSRP 28,050, Charger XST LH 248,348, MSRP 32,860, Ram LG 290 329, MSRP 37,855, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 12/31/20, dealer stock only.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
When you think about Memphis-style hot wings, you better be thinking about Crumpy's Hot Wings, because they're made from the freshest ingredients and always deliver that mouth-watering taste that you expect from your hot wings. Now you can visit their new location at 420 South Germantown Parkway. You can also call them at 901-207-1273 and see for yourself why Crumpy's is simply the best. Ask for the Sports 56 Special, which is 20 pieces of whole wings, large fries, and 4 drinks at just $38 for your family or group gatherings. Crumpy's Hot Wings, simply the best.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Of course, today matters in college football with recruiting. There's no question about that. It's largely the building blocks for your team in the future. I was talking with Gabe Kuhn today before we came on about how many players that will sign today that 4 years from now will be out there for senior day at that school. I bet not many. I bet if we did a test of it, I bet about 8 to 10 between transfer, injury, red shirt, just doesn't work out, things like that. But today matters, and it really mattered for Ryan Silverfield in his first real recruiting class as head coach of the Tigers. He's pulled in at Rivals, the 47th ranked class, but number 2 in the AAC. I think that's what they should be judged by. You start there. You start winning that one, first or second, or in that top of the heap, and then you go out there and next year turn that 47 into a 37. 2 years from now, turn that 47 2 years ago into 37 last year into a top 25 nationally, something like that. And I think that can be done by Ryan Silverfield.
I think it can as well, and we've seen him do it on the Memphis staff for the last couple of years, having feels like every year the newest, highest-ranked recruiting class and another top 50 class according to 24/7. Like you said, Rivals has Memphis at number 2 in the American. They actually have 24/7 has Memphis at number 3 behind Cincinnati and SMU. SMU only has 17 commits ahead of the Tigers, but they do have one of those very precious group of 5 4-stars on the roster. But the thing that jumps off the page for me from this Memphis recruiting class, whether you're looking at Rivals or 24/7, is no 2-stars, no unranked guys. That's something that you constantly saw when it came to Memphis, that out of 22 to 25 guys that they would get commitments from and sign, you'd have 5 to 10 be unranked type of players, and now you're getting nationally recognized 3-stars, have gotten 4-stars in the past, and I think that's what's really translating about this recruiting class for me, is that it just overall body of work, yeah, you might not have a 4 or 5-star, but overall body of work is a lot more solid than it's been in years past when it comes to the rankings, at least.
You're keying off 24/7. I'm keying off Rivals just to give you a broader view of the 2 most noteworthy recruiting graders out there. Nationally, it looks like the College Football Playoff Committee's releasing the signing classes. At Rivals, number 1, Alabama, shocker. Number 2, Ohio State, double shocker. 3, Georgia. 4, Oregon. Mario Cristobal staying there. New contract there. From the SEC, LSU at 5. Florida at 7. Texas A&M at 13. Tennessee at 14. Holding together the class that was more ballyhooed than that through most of the recruiting cycle at 18. And that's up from 71 3 weeks ago.
That is a
Lane
turnaround.
Kiffin from 71 to 18 at Ole Miss with some key in-state flips. Missouri with Eli Drinkwitz, he's at 20. Arkansas at 22. Look, I don't want to get into a fight with anybody over 22 or 20 or 18, or my class at 19 is really better than yours at 17. Time will tell on all this. One beautiful thing out of this day for recruiting, it's hope. It's Hope Springs Eternal. Everybody wins, don't they?
Everybody
There's
wins.
Nothing wrong with that. But
we love everybody.
But eventually we play and everybody doesn't win.
We love everybody we got. We got everybody we wanted. The future is bright, and that's exactly what 99.9% of coaches always say, unless your name's Will Muschamp. He's the only person I've ever seen be like, it's okay.
Look where it got him.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you've had a shot at Florida, you've had a shot at South Carolina, but very few coaches go out there and say, man, our class was really crummy.
It was really bad. Didn't get a single guy I wanted.
We will see how it plays out, and we'll even see how it plays out if these classes hold together to the February signing period after coaching changes. Hour 1 in the books, start hour 2. We visit with our friend Pat Smith from Jocks down in Birmingham, and we'll talk about that Auburn opening. That's next.
All 36-month leases, $31.49 due at signing, 0 security deposit, $6.50 acquisition fee, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte, ME 299.10, MSRP 20,625, sold M7755 $682, MSRP 20,315, K5MG 003-199, MSRP 25,725, includes all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license with approved credit warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details. Offer valid through 12/31/20, dealer stock only.
Are you ready to be happy this holiday season? Well, we got you covered at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. So come be happy with Kia's holiday sales event. Command the season. 2020 Kia Forte, $142 a month lease. 2021 Kia Soul, $148 a month lease. Plus 2021 Kia K5, $192 a month lease. All just 36 months, $31.49 due at signing. Stay happy all season long with Forte, $142, Soul, $148, Kia K5, $192. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia, 2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops this holiday season for the hottest gifts from Bushnell Golf. Featuring the Tour V5 and Tour V5 Shift rangefinders, featuring Pin Seeker with visual, jolt, and bike magnetic cart mount. And featuring this season's #1 gift from Bushnell, the Wingman, the world's first Bluetooth speaker with audible GPS distances. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get your Bushnell today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, your holiday headquarters since 1968, and shop online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Are you shopping for a new watch, an engagement ring, any kind of jewelry at all? What's up, Memphis? This is Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Grizzlies, encouraging you all to shop where I shop, Platinum Jewelers here in Memphis. Platinum Jewelers has a big selection of earrings, stockable rings, luxury watches, necklaces, bracelets, really whatever you need. They do custom jewelry and have 2 locations in the area. One is 545 Perkins Extended in East Memphis. The other is 9387 Poplar next to Fresh Market in Germantown. So if you need anything jewelry related, go to my spot, Platinum Jewelers.
Rocking around the Kia rides, have a happy holiday. That's right, Mid-South. Gossett Kia on the Pike is rocking away at the Kia Holiday Sales Event. Command the season. And gift wrapping is available on your 2020 Kia Forte, $142 a month lease. 2021 Kia Soul, $148 a month lease. Plus 2021 Kia K5, $192 a month lease. All just 36 months, $31.49 due at signing. So get them what they really want this season, a new ride from Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike. Or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases, $31.49 due at signing, 0 security deposit, $6.50 acquisition fee, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte, ME 299.10, MSRP 20,625, sold M7755 $682, MSRP 20,315, K5MG 003-199, MSRP 25,725, includes all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license with approved credit warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details. Offer valid through 12/31/20, dealer stock only.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Dave is out today. He's doing the Tiger basketball game tonight, the AAC opener on the road at Tulane against the Greenies. We will listen to Dave, and you can watch the action tonight on ESPN2, 8 o'clock tip. Looking forward to that. Into late night for me. Yeah, folks, that's late night for me to watch college basketball. Been good college basketball on today. Richmond over Vanderbilt earlier today at Vandy at Memorial Gym, 78-67. The Spiders get the win over the Commodores, Jerry Stackhouse's club. First loss of the year. I think Jerry Stackhouse will be a great college coach when it's all said and done. We saw the hard work he put in here as a very valued member of the Grizzlies staff. And he would be one of those players. If he goes on to be a great coach, he was a superstar player. There hadn't been many. It's hard for them to do it because they expect everybody to be as good as they were, and that's hard to be. But Jerry Stackhouse was a superstar player, for sure a college superstar, if not an NBA star. Star down in Birmingham, on the big signal in Birmingham, on Jocks. He had to come in on Sunday afternoon with the breaking news of the ouster of Gus Malzahn on the plains at Auburn. Our buddy Pat Smith joins us now to talk everything going on in that part of the world, including the high holy day of recruiting today, of signing day. But the big story, who will replace Gus Malzahn, Pat Smith?
I'll tell you what, a lot of people want to know the answer to that, and I wish I could tell you. I think we could both go down to Tunica and make some money, right? Right now, it's still trending from all the people that I talked to down on the plains that Kevin Steele, he's the guy that's getting the most love right now. Of course, they have hired a search firm out of Atlanta. They've got an advisory committee made up of some former players and some executives there at the Auburn campus. And so not really sure exactly the time frame, Brett, but now that National Signing Day is over with, I would think that it's going to speed up a little bit. The two names that you've been hearing the whole time has been Kevin Steele, the current defensive coordinator, the interim head coach, and Mario Cristobal, who's the head coach at Oregon. Well, an interesting thing happened right around lunchtime today during National Signing Day. Oregon announced that their board of trustees is meeting tomorrow for a one subject item on the agenda, and it's the contract of their head football coach. So read the tea leaves, Brett. You've been around this league long enough. You think we know what that means. Leverage has worked out for Mario Cristobal. He's probably going to get a new deal there at Oregon because currently he's the 11th highest paid coach, 11th in the Pac-12. Only one other coach has less money per year on his contract than Mario Cristobal. So mark him off the list, it appears, for Auburn.
Yeah, he'll definitely be getting a pretty good bonuses coming his way out at the University of Oregon. But, Pat, what was the main factor from this year that was Gus's undoing? Because, honestly, this year didn't feel that much different than some of Gus's years past. Was it kind of just Auburn pulling to Georgia with Mark Rich and saying, we've tried it, we've had enough, we can't keep doing this?
Well, it seems like it's an annual tradition, especially where I do my business here in Birmingham and throughout the state of Alabama, that it's always Gus Malzahn watch season. You know, he got that big contract a couple of years ago. Many people believed he would have taken the out and gone on and coached Arkansas. Instead, they hired Chad Morris for that disastrous one season. It just seems to every single year the fan base eroded a little bit more. And this year it was a couple things. Not only did you lose to a 2-win South Carolina team, but you also had a situation with recruiting. They only signed 12 players today, and those 12 players were made up of 4 4-stars and 7 3-stars. And it was very difficult. Even if Gus Malzahn would have stayed on board, this probably would have gone down as one of the worst signing days in recent memory for Auburn. They came in this morning ranked 45th in recruiting in the nation. There only one other team in the Southeastern Conference had a worse recruiting ranking than Auburn this morning, and that was South Carolina, and they were 98th in America. So there was a lot of things that were happening for whatever reason, a lot of negativity, and when the product on the field became mediocre, and then he made a statement right after the Texas A&M loss that he had to come back 24 hours later and basically recant or walk back those comments. He basically said, a 6-4 season, that's our goal here at Auburn. And you know what? That's, pretty much the new standard. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that was the message to the Auburn. Yes, that was the message to the Auburn fandom. And then 24 hours later on Sunday night, he comes back and he's basically saying, now, wait a second, we're here to win championships at Auburn. We're not here to go 6-4. Well, the damage had already been done. And then at that point in time, it didn't matter what would have happened over in Starkville in that final game. I think the die had been cast at that time, and that at his time at Auburn was done. They just had to find enough boosters that was going to pony up $21.5 million.
Pat, through the years, anybody that knows me, anybody that's listening to me on these airwaves, they know exactly how I have felt through the years about Gus Malzahn. He just was not one of my personal favorites, whether it was off the field or on the field. I thought he was utterly average. I did not like what he did on his climb up. He took his shot from the ranks of high school coaching, and he had some real small-town, tough Arkansas high school coaching jobs, one not far from right in the middle of our listening area that he kept winning from and got to Northwest Arkansas. But I didn't like how he did Houston Nutt. I didn't like all the drama he brought to the Arkansas program. And through the years, I frankly didn't like him. But I have defended him this week on this point. Can you think of a guy ever to have 8 tougher years to take on Alabama than the 8 years he had to take them on?
No, and he won 3 times against him. And, I mean, who else in the SEC can say that, Brett? So, I think what it came down to this year, guys, is the old guard that has been critical of Malzahn over the past few years. They saw this as an opportunity. If they let Gus Malzahn coach one more season at Auburn, look at their schedule. They've got Georgia and Alabama at home next year. Playing at Jordan-Hare Stadium in a non-pandemic year, it's a really tough place to play. Those power brokers at Auburn did not want to give him another season to where he might find a way to have a prayer at Jordan-Hare or have another kick-six situation. Because if he had not had those situations come up a couple years ago, he would not have gotten an extension at Auburn. He probably would have already been gone as the head coach at Auburn, and we wouldn't be having this discussion as we speak. So they saw it as an opportunity to make a move now while the getting was good. And now the problem is you've got Auburn fans really concerned about, obviously it's not the school's money, it's the boosters' money. But can you imagine saying, we just spent $21 million for X coach, meaning Kevin Steele or, Billy Napier or, just insert whatever coach. Because the bottom line is, guys, there's only a handful of people that you could justify really honestly paying that kind of money for. And I think Auburn fans are starting to see the realization that it's going to be a really tough thing to do. Should have maybe thought of that before you decided to get rid of it.
Kind of a little conspiracy-ish thought here, Pato. If it sounds outlandish, you can just throw it right back in my face with it. But do you think there's any thought of, especially the times that we're in, who you've got to face in-state with Nick Saban at Alabama, that there's some thought in Auburn, all right, let's stay in-house. Let's kind of, if we can save some money, great. And then once Nick Saban's done at Auburn and we might be on more of a level playing field, then we go out and get our guy. Then we go out and make the big blockbuster hire.
No, I don't. Auburn has always run completely independent. If you live in this state and you cover this conference as long as you do, there is no so-called redheaded stepchild, as some people across the country might feel, between the Alabama and Auburn program. Auburn, they are 100% on the same level playing field as Alabama. Now, again, people nationally might not view it that way, but that's the way Auburn people view it. That's where most of the people in the state of Alabama view it. And so, they have an opportunity to make a splash hire. They're going to do it now. Again, the money that was spent for Gus Malzahn is going to be paid off by Tigers Unlimited, which is obviously not affiliated with the Auburn University budget.
And it's unlimited.
Exactly. So with that being said, if they see an opportunity and there is somebody that is out there that fits the mold of what they want at Auburn, then they're gonna go for it and they're gonna do it. I just think the problem is that when you look around, I just don't see those type coaches. Now, again, you guys might have a couple of names that they'd probably love to hear, but we rack our brains 4 hours every day down here in Birmingham on WJOX, and we have a real hard time coming up with those legitimate so-called blockbuster coaches that so many fans think that you should get, but there's only a handful of them available.
I've texted you this privately to keep an eye on him for any of these openings. Would he be blockbuster enough? Bill O'Brien was at Penn State, then in the NFL with the Texans, out with the Texans, but the cachet of an NFL guy, would that be blockbuster enough, Pat?
Well, I think he's an excellent football coach. Just like, believe it or not, I've heard through several sources that Dan Quinn, the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, is very interested in the Auburn job. But, you know, a lot of people don't remember, but Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator of the Florida Gators before he went off to Seattle with Pete Carroll as the defensive coordinator of the Seahawks, and then he went to Atlanta as the head coach, and, of course, we know how the Super Bowl ended up. So a lot of people remember that. He's definitely interested in the job. I've had some Auburn people just absolutely laugh in my face when I tell them that I've heard through the certain circles that he's interested, and when I brought up Bill O'Brien's name, they're not laughing as hard about Bill O'Brien as they are Dan Quinn, but that is definitely a name that they're not honestly seriously considering. But I think Bill O'Brien, what he did at Penn State, is an outstanding coach. Not from an Auburn perspective, but the names that people have brought up on our show, some of them really makes a lot of sense. You've got Coach Allen at Indiana, who's done a phenomenal job in Bloomington. I think he would fit at Auburn outstandingly. James Franklin, not sure if he wants to get back in the Southeastern Conference, but obviously he knows what it's like to recruit in this part of the world. He's dealt with some obviously heavy-headed boosters at Penn State. If he's ever looking to get out, I think Auburn would be a really nice place for him to go. He could deal with the politics off the field, and he's a good football coach. So, those are two other really solid names that we've brought up on our show, but unfortunately, as of right now, there has not been any kind of groundswell, at least from the people I talked to down at Auburn, of at least even considering those two options.
I like all three of the options that y'all just threw out. I think all three could be great fits. But far as in the SEC in general, Vandy made the hire to replace Derek Mason, getting Notre Dame's DC Clark Lee. Leah, do you think that he could be the guy to get it back to where James Franklin had, or is he bound to repeat Derek Mason and just keep Vandy?
Well, I'll just say this. The definition of a fool is continuing to do the same thing over and over again and continue to hope for different results. And this is exactly what the hire at Vandy, in my opinion, has done. They could have gone out, and I understand that Clark played at Vanderbilt. He was a good football player. He's from Nashville. He understands the area. But they had an opportunity to go out and hire a Jamie Chadwell. I was told Chadwell wanted the job. And, of course, he signs a 7-year extension today to stay at Coastal Carolina. You could have even gone out and hired a Jeff Monken from Army. He is going after every job opening. Somebody at West Point, Brett, must have really irritated him because he is open for any job to get out of West Point. But to me, you could run some type of offense, whether it's the Coastal Carolina offense this year, that's not quite the triple option. It's kind of an offshoot or a hybrid of that, or bring in a Jeff Monken. Because we all know with what Vanderbilt tries to recruit there, they're never going to be able to compete head-to-head on a consistent basis. You're going to need to do something to make your opponent each week in the SEC kind of work a little bit harder to prepare for. I'm not saying be gimmicky, but you could have gone an offensive route that I think would have given you a better opportunity to win, correct? And I don't think they've done that.
Pat, I so agree with you, and I don't mean this as a shot. I really don't, and I know he doesn't care because he doesn't have a clue who I am either. I don't remember Clark Lee playing, and I kind of keep up with this, but I don't remember him playing. All right, Pat, we're about to conclude this interview, and I want to do it well. I want to do it much better than how Auburn coaches, how it fares for them after it's over at Auburn. I hope we go on and have a much better day after we conclude this interview than what I think Gus Malzahn the rest of his football life will look like. I think this is the last great job that he had. Gene Chizik can't get hired anywhere, but he does pontificate at the SEC Network. Tommy Tuberville, he showed us all. He's headed to the United States Senate, but it was horrible coaching after that. Terry Bowden, the last two revered post-football coaches, post-Auburn stint coaches, was Coach Jordan and Coach Dye, and they were in retirement years, and they're legends. Their names, it's Jordan-Hare Stadium at Pat Dye Field for a reason. Why is it such the end of the coaching road for Bowden, Tuberville, Chiswick, and I'm predicting it will be for Malzahn.
It's just Auburn is a really special place for a lot of people, and a lot of people, it will eat you up. And especially at the back end of it, it typically does not end well. Almost every one of those coaches, as you mentioned, even Pat Dye was fired basically before the end of their tenure. It's something that I think a lot of people would love to be able to sit down and write a book and try to explain, Brett, because it's one of those head-scratching situations. And especially now in a year of the pandemic, I mean, we said it. I've been a guest on your show a few times this year, and we've all talked about it. We didn't think anybody was going to lose their job during a pandemic. Even Derek Mason might have been safe. But for whatever reason, people see an opportunity and they want to make change, and they decided it was time at Auburn, and now they're going to have to deal with the consequences of making a change without basically having anything ready to go immediately. So we'll wait and see exactly what works out from there.
Pat Smith, Merry Christmas to you. Give me a score prediction on Saturday, Bama and Florida. We didn't even get to it because I think it's going to be a blowout. Your score prediction Saturday.
I think Bama gets in the 50s again, guys. I mean, I obviously I think Florida's going to score, but I think Bama wins the game 52-31.
I'm in that neighborhood. I told my brother earlier today, I thought 45-24, 52-31's good enough. That's about the same point difference. I think it'll be all tied on Saturday for yet another Southeastern Conference championship. Pat, Merry Christmas to you and yours, and we look forward to talking to you in a normal 2021 if we can ever get back to normal.
Well, you guys, listen, I've always enjoyed coming on with y'all. Y'all have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, and just maybe Santa will bring Auburn a new football coach before I talk to you again.
You got it. Thank you so much. Pat Smith with us from WJOX in Birmingham, talking all things SEC. All things great foods at Jason's Deli at any of these locations, Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Be sure and check them out at jasonsdeli.com. Normally, a lot of catering this time of year, a lot of office events. I know everything is kind of muted, but Jason's Deli, this group still appreciates you so much. About 200 Jason's Deli associates with the Memphis area group at all these locations, and they thank you for this challenging year. They've met the challenge. You knew they would. They will next year, and we're going to get back to normal, and and we go to Jason's Deli, we always get that great food. They like to say wholesome food forever. It's a family thing, and that's a fact at Jason's Deli. On a cold, crisp afternoon like today, how about that fire-roasted tortilla soup or the tomato basil? My favorite, the chili, Texas style, no beans. Top it with sour cream, onions, and cheese. Or dive into those salads like the Chicken Club salad, the Mesa Chicken salad, Nutty Mixed Up salad, the taco salad, all the meats, all the breads, all the cheeses, all the spreads. So good at Jason's Deli. The beef eater sandwich, the Reuben, the corned beef sandwich, the hot pastrami sandwich, all so good. And Jason's Deli, trans fat free, all about choice, regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals. In all these locations, you can wrap it up after going so healthy eating, wrap it up with the free ice cream at any of these locations. Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, and they look forward to a 2021 where we get back to normal when we can, if we do, and we will, and they're ready to see you again in 2021. If you hadn't had late lunch or you're thinking about going out for early dinner, don't forget about Jason's Deli around the dinner time. It's great anytime, great at lunch, great at dinner time at any of these great Memphis area locations, and check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com. So Auburn fired Gus Malzahn, stroked a $21 million check to hire a guy that was a disaster at Baylor, but a great defensive coordinator through the years in Kevin Steele. It feels like that's what it's building to.
Yeah, it really does feel like that's what it's going to be, because from all reports and what Pat just said, they really like the guy. I think the current players really like him, and you can't really knock an in-house hire, especially after what we've seen Ryan Silverfield do here at the University of Memphis. I know there's
but he didn't strike out at Baylor.
That's true, but you got to think that as well as he's done, I think, at Auburn, he's worth a second look. He's worth a second try. And I was kind of leaning towards with Pat. Now, Pat did basically shoot me down by saying that if you get a blockbuster hire, if you get the guy that you want, you take him now. No conspiracy, no looking at yourself as a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, you were taking a flyer with that.
A little bit. But
you prefaced it with it was conspiracy.
Yeah, a little bit. I just wanted to know if there was any actual kind of thought around, maybe not inside the program, but maybe outside the program in the fan base, if that would be an idea that has been thrown around. But I think he's worth a second shot for sure.
In that cluster of names thrown out, if it's not Kevin Steele and you were Jimmy Rain at Yellowwood, who would you hire?
I really like your Bill O'Brien take on it. I think.
What about Josh McDaniels? Kind of at the end of the Belichick Patriots run, we know who represents him. He's from the NFL. Can you imagine him going into recruits' house? Look, I helped build the New England Patriots with Bill Belichick. Come play for me.
I think it'd be.
Or is he waiting on a pro job?
I think he's waiting on a pro job. I mean, he's been there for forever, right? So I mean, you don't stick
a kid.
Yeah, you don't stick it out in the NFL just to take a college job. Now it's a great college job, but he just seems like a guy that likes the NFL, wants to stay in the NFL, and just waiting on his time to shine as an NFL head coach. I think the James Franklin idea isn't a bad one. If you can get it done at Vandy, then you can get it done in the SEC. I think that is a really good idea, too.
The best name mentioned, and it's his personality. And he's just this way, and I know him well, and I love him, and I would love for him to get it. Tom Allen would fit perfectly there. Perfect. Defense-oriented. And Auburn may be, through the year, excluding Oxford. Oxford is my favorite place to go to a game, but road games, either Georgia or to a game at Auburn, it is Mayberry, it is home folksy, it feels good, it's good people. I love the Auburn people. I love going to a game there. I just never, ever liked Gus Malzahn. And frankly, after the way Tommy Tuberville left Ole Miss, it was too much there for me. I didn't know Gene Chizik, and he wasn't there long enough for me to like or dislike him. But Auburn is a great place. Tom Allen would fit perfectly. He would have the Auburn creed memorized and sincere about it when the boosters plane landed with him there, and he would do it with gusto. That would be terrific if they went that way. And you're talking about winning at Vandy. If you can win at IU, you can win just about anywhere. And I think Indiana's really good this year. I don't know why they're being forgotten by so many of the college football playoff committee members. When we come back, we will talk about the SEC and the University of Memphis and extending contracts and hiring favorite sons, the best press conferences. We do that next. You're listening to Sports Time.
Same great shows.
We welcome you back to Sports 56 Middays.
What's up? It's Sports 56 Happy Hour.
A new spot on the FM dial. Check out Sports 56 on our new FM home at 98.5.
Spend the holidays at home this year with a little help from Family Leisure. Family Leisure has so many spas on order. Now's your time to really save big. Huge savings on pool tables, game tables, arcades, massage chairs, and a whole lot more. Buy a pool now and save the 2021 price increase. Plus, you'll get early installation scheduling. The Holidays at Home sale happening now at Family Leisure, Whidden Road at I-40, where family and fun come together for the holidays.
Rocking around, the Kia rides have a happy holiday. That's right, Mid-South. Gossett Kia on the Pike is rocking away at the Kia Holiday Sales Event. Command the season. And gift wrapping is available on your 2020 Kia Forte $142 a month lease. 2021 Kia Soul $148 a month lease. Plus 2021 Kia K5 $192 a month lease. All just 36 months, $3149 due at signing. So get them what they really want this season, a new ride from Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike. Or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
36-month leases, $31.49 due at signing, 0 security deposit, $650 acquisition fee, 10,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte ME $299.10, MSRP $20,625, Soul M7755,682, MSRP $20,315, K5MG 003199, MSRP $25,725, includes all manufacturer rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax title and license with approved credit, warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details. Offer valid through 12/31/20, dealer stock only.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
All 75 months at 3.4%, G4 LHF 129.69, MSRP 17,064, Outlander LZO 423.83, MSRP 26,235, PEV LZO 388.19, MSRP 38.1. Outlander PEV qualifies for a $5,836 federal tax credit. Consult your tax advisor. Includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax filing license with approved credit. See for complete details. Offer ends 12/31/2020, dealer stock only.
Where can you find 0% APR for 60 months, plus up to $1,000 cash back on 2020 crossovers, plus $500 holiday cash, plus payments at $99 a month? We got it at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike during the 2020 year-end sales event. 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage G4, buy for $11,749 or $99 a month. 2020 Outlander, $20,571 or $259 a month. Plus, crossover with 4x4 off-road capabilities with 74 mpg. 2020 Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid EV, $25,099 or $299 a month. Not leases, you own them. And Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
All right, Drew Barrett and I are going to play judge, jury, and decider on all these contracts. As every year, this is where college administrators get themselves in trouble 4 and 5 years down the road on the heat-of-the-moment decisions they make. Before we do that, I want to read a couple of texts at the First Bank text line at 67129. And I agree with this texter, and you wholeheartedly agree. James Franklin would be dangerous at Auburn. No disagreement from any of us.
Nope.
With the TV coverage in bowl games, the exposure, it's working its magic. Can't argue with that. The big boys are just getting bigger. I mean, you look at those, as I said about those recruiting rankings, that looks like the CFP rollout. There's a reason they parallel each other.
There really is. And, I mean, while it does take a lot of development and making sure that, we talk about with Memphis turning that 3-star into a 4-star or 5-star. Well, when you start at 5, just keeping a guy as a 5-star is pretty easy.
Injuries about the only thing, or just a horrible ranking of him. And we've seen, and I was trying to think the other day of, and kind of maybe more of a summertime topic, but that big name recruit player that was a bomb. And everybody's had it. Mm-hmm. Everybody's had it in football. Everybody's had it in basketball as well. What was expected of him, and then what he did, just nothing. And you're going to have that, but you're not going to have it over an entire class.
Oh,
and when you're signing nothing but 5s and 4s, you got a lot of wiggle room. Another texter at 67129 says Iowa State moves up a spot each of the last 2 weeks, but yet they're a 5.5-point underdog to OU in their championship game. Texter continues that Vegas should decide the top 4 teams. who would be favor over everyone? Alabama. Then who would be favor over everyone but Bama, etc. I agree. Vegas doesn't have a dog in the hunt, and they don't care. That's the beauty of them.
I'm with it.
They win. They win either way. We and Texter, I promise you, when the College Football Playoff Committee was first being drawn up at SEC Media Days, I asked Bill Hancock, why don't you have someone from that? Now, even then, 4 and 5 years ago, it was still a little
touchy subject to
verboten than it is now. Look, we've torn that scab off a long time ago and should. For the umpteenth time, if you don't think it's for you, if you think you might have a problem with it, if you think it's controlling you more than you're controlling it in anything, whether it's eating Jell-O or betting on the ball games, don't do it. Don't do it. Quickly recognize it's not for you. But for people that like it and can and have no problem with it, I think we're to the point now. We need those people, and we need that realm of sport represented. Bruce Marshall would nail it in that role.
Oh, of course
Nobody
he
would be more prepared. He wouldn't need that briefing book they send to everybody. He would have his own. I know where he'd have it, too, between his ears. He wouldn't need any notes.
Oh, he would absolutely kill it. And I think the texter is so right. They don't have a dog in the fight. So why there really isn't any alliances to universities or to conferences or alma maters. It's just who's going to make us the best money? How do we make money? That's all Vegas is doing. And with the gaming stuff, I mean, I've enjoyed it. I only bet $5-10 a game, so I'm perfectly fine if I so happen to lose $20-25 a weekends. But it just
you
makes.
You don't have a car payment riding on it.
No, oh goodness gracious! I mean, I don't have a dinner riding on it. I'm not going hungry for a night because I lost the USC UCLA game. I actually did win that one. I don't know why I use that one as an example.
I lost it in the picks.
Well, I got real cash money on it. Thank goodness.
You got it in the picks too.
And I got it in the
cash
picks.
Money and the picks
makes it even better. So it's fun for me. It makes. Not that I really needed anything to make college football and the NFL and all the other sporting events more exciting, but it actually has. So, but Vegas would be the best, and let's just give it to them. And I think that in a few years, they'll have to wrinkle out some of iron out some of the wrinkles. But in a few years, I think we'll get to the point where if Vegas was doing it, we really wouldn't have any complaints because there wouldn't be any of these alliances or dogs and fights.
You hear Bruce with us through the years. I could not tell you who I think his favorite teams are.
No clue.
You can't tell. And this year he's kind of been on a roll, picking against Memphis and with Arkansas.
Has never pandered to any fan base around here when it comes to picks.
As tight as I am with him, as tight as we are with him, he's never going to put out a Memphis pick because he's doing a Memphis radio show or give an Ole Miss pick because he's buds with me. He's not. And that is Vegas. That's one. And Texter, if we had a prize to give away for Text of the Day, let's give away Dave's car for Text of the Day. No, I'm joking.
I'm all for it. Not my car.
Don't embroil me in a legal battle over Dave's vehicle from Homer Skelton. No. I was joking. I can't. All right, we got to go rapid fire. Let's play AD prominent booster for these coaches after this year. What would you say to Ryan Silverfield?
If I'm Laird Beach at the University of Memphis to Ryan Silverfield, I'm patting him on the back. Great job, buddy. Tough year, 7-3. Lost most of your big returning players from last year, but was able to get it done. Let's work on the run
game.
game.
Tack on a year?
I'd tack on a year. I'd give Ryan Silverfield a one more year extension if he wanted.
Any more dough?
No, and it's going to be weird doing all these now. Am I doing this outside of COVID? Or with COVID and everything.
You're doing it in the world we live in on December 16th.
It would just be so hard.
You're meeting with the guy right now.
It would be so bad I think it'd be such a bad look for any AD out there to really tack
that
on.
Money's coming from boosters.
I know it is, but it's still just in public eye is a bad look when so many people have lost their jobs. I give him an extension if he wants it, but I don't know if I give him an outlandish bonus. Maybe a year by year bonus, but nothing to where he's getting.
I'm with you. might tack on a year, but it wouldn't be any big. It wouldn't be any double-digit pay increase. I think he went out there and he did his job. Alabama, Nick Saban. What do you do?
Do what I would have done every year. Here's a blank check, Nick. Fill it out. It's that simple.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll sign you to a 20-year extension if that'll keep you coaching.
It's really the University of Nick Saban right now.
It is.
And it's the Nick Saban Crimson Tide right now. Auburn speaks for itself. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. Keith Carter, the power brokers at Ole Miss. What do you say to Coach Kiffin?
I say Coach Kiffin, good first year. There's going to be some job openings in the next year. Let's lock you down. Let's you fully make a commitment to Ole Miss. We're making a commitment to you. If you need more money, we're opening up our wallets. I say Lane Kiffin, the experiment, Lane train at Ole Miss
the vault, huh?
has worked for Ole Miss.
I don't.
Really?
I don't. I might definitely tack on a year because of the very odious 4-year max in the state of Mississippi, and they all kind of do that at State and at Southern. They all do that. I would definitely do that, and maybe some money increase, but he's 4-4, and that's better than most thought. The 4 wins are against Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. It's better than most thought, but that defense, that's not murderer's row the wins. He did a great job. Definitely would tack on a year, maybe some money, but I know for almost none of these. I mean, unless you're Nick Saban and you set that bar, I'm not opening the vault for you doing the job that you agreed to 1 year ago.
But
that's how we get in this
exactly.
this continuous cycle of stupid money.
But let's say I don't think anybody thinks that.
Now, I'm not being realistic, am I?
Well, I don't think you're not being realistic, but honestly, Lane Kiffin has a track record of jumping ship very early. So if you extend him, draw up a new contract, add to that buyout, make it harder for him to jump ship when a better offer comes.
Fair enough. All right, Mississippi State, Mike Leach. He's sitting in front of John Cohen and the power brokers. What do you say to him?
Say, tough luck, Leach. You're not getting a penny, not getting an extension. You got to show me why I pulled you out of Pullman, Washington.
I'm with you. Get your chin up. Started great. It was really bad in between. Finished strong with Will Rogers, but go get him. Pirate, swing your sword. LSU, Ed Orgeron.
If I'm Scott Woodward at LSU, I'm looking dead Coach O in the eye. Strike one. Don't make it strike two next year. That's what I'm telling him.
Well said. I promise you in my notes, 2 words. Be careful. Tennessee,
Philip Fulmer, he's asking Jeremy Pruitt for some money back at this point for all the talking and sweet talking he's having to do, talking up Coach Pruitt. Basically tell him, I need improvement and I need wins now. You cannot afford one more year of this, or I can't back you anymore. It's just going to be failed. So definitely no extension, no money.
I'm going to take a little bit of a powder on this one. Check with me late Saturday night.
Yeah, I'd probably double-check, revisit the issue.
So, Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz.
I don't know if I'd give him an extra year, but I'd give him a nice end-of-the-year bonus if he wants one.
I think he's done a great job. I thought he walked into the best situation of the 4 new SEC coaches, the only new coach in the East. I thought they were a little early in the ouster of Barry Odom. But good job, Eli Drinkwitz. I see bright prospects for the future, maybe a little money, maybe a year or two. But, again, who's fighting for Eli Drinkwitz right now?
Nobody.
What other team? You're not hearing him in any Auburn talk. You wouldn't. If Tennessee comes open, you're not going to hear him in that. If Texas had come open. So why are you bidding against yourself?
Exactly. That's kind of where, like we've said, these ADs get in trouble. They bid against themselves. And when they know that it could still be a possibility 2-3 years down the road that it's going to come bite them in the butt. But at the time when the iron's hot and they think that somebody's going to be bidding against them, whether that is real or perceived, then they try to do everything possible to keep them.
Arkansas, Sam Pittman.
Arkansas, I'm saying good job, Sam. Go 500 or better next year. we'll talk 6 or 7 year extension at that point. But you've got to at least get to 500 for me. Bonus if he wants one.
Yes, Arkansas showed improvement. His roster was horrible. As I said many times, the worst Razorback roster, 1 to 85, that I'd ever seen in my life. I know that program pretty well. It was in despair. Like, I never could have dreamed that it could get there. Ever could have dreamed that it would get there. But, like I said about Lane Kiffin and his 4 wins, here are Sam Pittman's 3 wins. Now, it did break that 19-game losing streak, but he did go 3-7. That makes him 3-26. That makes Arkansas 3-26.
But other than Alabama last week, was in a lot of close games. I mean, should have beat Missouri probably the week before.
50 to Missouri.
But was in the game.
63 to Florida. They were. But his 3 wins, as Razorback fans like to call them, the 2 Mississippis. They love to say that. The 2 Mississippis and Tennessee. He beat 2 first-year head coaches and a guy that's either on his way out this week or this time next year in Jeremy Pruitt.
Still 3's better than 0, so you got to give him something. Got to give him some credit, and the fan base really has.
I've never seen happier fan bases than some of these 3- and 4-win teams this year. South Carolina speaks for itself. Vandy speaks for itself. Georgia, Kirby Smart.
I'm telling Kirby, yeah, you only lost 2 games, but if I wanted this type of result, this type of record, we probably could have kept Mark Rich. You're looking real similar right now.
Kirby, we had that.
We had what you're giving me. Give me more.
We didn't think you were going to be Mark Richt 2.0, and you largely have been. Rose Bowl was fun, Kirby. That's 3 years ago now. I mean, it was a blast.
What have you done for me lately?
It was unbelievable to see how happy those Bulldog fans were. All right, Kentucky and Florida, the only 2 remaining. Kentucky and Florida. What do you say to Dan Mullen? What do you say to Mark Stoops?
If I'm Strickland at Florida, I'm telling Dan Mullen, please stop talking. Please quit giving me headaches because you have done nothing
he didn't know he was going to
make my head
nobody
throb.
Knew it.
But overall,
nobody knows Dan Mullen better than Scott.
You're exactly right, and that's what I'd be telling him. I'm not giving him any money. I'm not getting an extension. I probably would have if he would have beat LSU this week, but that's just a real damper. I don't know if I can sell that to the boosters and the fan base. And Barnhart at Kentucky to Stoops, find an offense next year. We'll revisit this next year. I'm trying to fix basketball right now. I don't really care.
That is the best answer. But I'm tired of 19-17 games in the age of all this offense. You got to find offense. But basically, for me, to Kirby and to Mark Stoops, thank you. Work under the contract as drawn up. We know what's drawn up. The NFL approaching its final leg of the season. College basketball rolling. NBA tip-off, it's almost here. Grizzlies season almost here. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. There's a lot of reasons, but the app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique, fun bet types like same-game parlays, and exclusive, always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boost on the biggest event and bet insurance to let you get more action out of every single game. And after you win, they get you your winnings safely to you back in as little as 24 hours. Tomorrow night, NFL, it starts rolling all the way through Monday. Games on Saturday, full schedule on Sunday. Mention the NBA on the way back. Right now, FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Just place a bet on any game, and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back if you don't win your first bet. Seriously, no strings attached. Just place any bet you want. If you win, you keep the cash. If you lose, you'll get your entire bet up to $1,000 back in site credit. All these championship games Saturday. How about Cincinnati laying those points at home in the AAC championship game? They lost here in Memphis last year. I think they roll big on campus in Cincinnati on Saturday. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH so they know we sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook. Promo code CASH must be 21 or older. Present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires 14 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. Tigers and Tulane tonight. Tigers 10, 11-point favorite on the road against the Greenies. We talk that next on Sportstime.
Memphis Tiger fans, catch the Blue and Gray Show with John Stacy and Drew Barrett, Sunday nights from 5 till 7, right here on Sports 56, 98.5, and 96.1.
Swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops this holiday season for the hottest gifts from TaylorMade. The Sim Shape in Motion series featuring the Sim, Sim Max, and Sim Max D-type families. Find increased speed and distance with Sim. And be sure to stock up and save on TaylorMade TP5 and TP5X golf balls, now only $39.99. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, your holiday headquarters since 1968, and shop online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
I'm so sick.
Ooh, honey.
Seriously? I'm sick.
Oh, honey, it's time for DayQuil Severe Honey. It's maximum strength cold and flu medicine with soothing, honeylicious taste.
I love you, honey.
And I love you.
I meant the DayQuil.
New DayQuil Severe Honey. The soothing, honeylicious daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, power through your day medicine. Use as directed.
The NFL is in its final leg of the season. College basketball is back, and NBA tip-off is almost here. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique, fun bet types, and exclusive always-on promotions and bet insurance. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. Right now, FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Just place a bet on any game and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back if you don't win your first bet. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with promo code GASMAN so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable and expires 14 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
In today's world, a lot is going on, but one thing is always true. You need to take care of yourself. The skin clinics can help. Age, diet, genetics, and current events can conspire to make you look and feel much older than you are. It doesn't have to be that way. Call the skin clinics and let their expertly trained nurses, estheticians, and staff choose the treatment that best suits you and your pocket. There's so much you can do. Consider skin resurfacing and rejuvenation, lash extensions and specialty brows, injectables, medical-grade chemical peels, laser hair reduction, waxing, facials, makeup applications, and even services just for men. The Skin Clinics has it all in a caring, safe environment, always observing current social distancing guidelines. Go to theskinclinic.com to find out more and call today for your appointment at 901-345-SKIN. That's 901-345-SKIN. Taking care of yourself is good for you and your loved ones. Come to the Skin Clinics, 1300 Wolf Park Drive in Germantown.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. When we put them in nice packaging, we don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
Tigers and Tulane, and when I say lopsided through the years, very few rivalries in any sport, across basketball and football, this decided. Memphis holds a 34-3 series lead just in the 21st century against Tulane, a current 10-game winning streak, longest in series history's 22 straight by Memphis from 2000 to 2015. And you've got news about a valuable addition tonight to the Tiger roster.
Yeah, I do. This is coming from Jeff Goodman. Per sources, D1 Council has passed a proposal in which all transfers are now eligible to play this season. And our good friend Jason Munns tweeted out that, as Penny said yesterday, DeAndre Williams will make his Memphis debut tonight at Tulane. And with the Jeff Goodman tweet, that does look to be confirmed. And we'll get our first look at the Evansville transfer.
Looking forward to that. Tigers need some infusion of
all
talent.
the help we can get.
A lot of teams are in that same predicament. We will talk about college basketball with Mike DeCourcy, and right now, when I look at the SEC, I see about 2 or 3 good teams. The rest pretty much the same, and the idea of Kentucky holding up the whole league down there at the bottom is hard to imagine. But the Tigers get going tonight. I think they will take care of things. Look, point spreads matter. That's Vegas telling you. They may not cover the 10, but they're going to win the game.
Yeah, Vegas does know a thing or two about sports and about basketball. I think they win the game. It's and I hate to do this. It's in December, but for going, I don't want to say. You know what I don't want to say? I don't want to say must win, but it almost is starting to feel that way because in order to keep tournament hopes alive, in order to keep the hope of making the group of 68 in March, you can't lose any that you're supposed to win. And this is one that you were supposed to win. You cannot have hiccups against Tulane. You cannot have a 40-point loss against Tulsa. You can't have any. The time for hiccups.
A 2-point loss against Tulsa.
No, the time for hiccups is done. You have to win the games that you are expected to win. Now, if you drop a road loss to Wichita or to Cincinnati and obviously to Houston, everybody else in
there's
this
some forgivable road spots.
A few, but I think for most of this league, you're expected to beat them, and you need to beat them.
Yeah, because after tonight, Tulsa at home, USF at home should take care of business there. Then at Temple, at UCF to start the new calendar year. I think when we did our picks, I had that as a split. I think maybe losing at Temple, winning at UCF, or vice versa. Anyway,
I had it as a split as well. Losing at Temple.
It gets up after tonight. All the road games are up for grabs. This is the easiest roadie conference of the year, and it's the opening game.
Yeah, it really is, and you need to get off on the right foot because everything else probably won't be as easy as we thought in this down year for the American, really only having one sure team in the NCAA tournament with Houston, the top 10 program right now in the country, sitting at number 6. But I and it doesn't really matter how much they win by. And I've said that all week is just the last 2 weeks. I just need to see something that gives me confidence, and I still haven't seen it.
I thought there were stretches of the Auburn game that was the best Tiger basketball of the year. I do like that DJ Jeffries has been the leading scorer the last 2 times out. I think the offense should start at Jeffries, Nolly Jeffries, then inside to Moussa Cisse, and Moussa Cisse 4 consecutive games with at least 10 rebounds for him, and I thought he had good minutes, really quality minutes.
Looked good, but
Auburn.
Still just not all there.
Not all there. It's time for it to start getting all there. It starts tonight, 8 o'clock tip on ESPN2. Of course, you can listen to Dave, and Dave will be back with us tomorrow to talk about it. Hour number 3, it's up next, and we start it with Mike DeCourcy, the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News on college basketball.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Good news. Southland Casino is now back open. That's right. The most spacious casino floor in the Mid-South is ready to welcome you back to the action with live blackjack, roulette, craps, and all your favorite slots. The action kicks off every day at 9 a.m. and rolls all the way till 5 o'clock the next morning. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and make the short drive to Southland. We're ready for you. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
How's the Christmas shopping going? Frontier Western Store in Olive Branch is here to make it a lot easier. Everyone loves something from Frontier. Ladies' boutique style clothing, Carhartt for the guys, and boots for everyone. For Frontier's boutique department, you'll find the latest trends at incredible prices. We also carry a huge inventory of basics like leggings, tops, tunics, dresses, CC beanies, scarves, gloves, new styles of fleece jackets, and much, much more. Guys will be after Frontier's large assortment of Carhartt and Ariat jeans and shirts. Now, how about a new coat, jacket, or insulated overalls? Frontier has that too. Don't forget the boots. Work boots and dress boots from Rocky, Dan Post, Ariat, and more. Frontier is the place to come for name brand boots at an everyday low price. There are thousands of boots available in all sizes for men, women, and children. Frontier gift cards are also available and make a perfect last-minute gift. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, or shop online 24/7 at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. When was the last time you had your heating system cleaned? How about a safety inspection? Right now, Conway Service is offering our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your heating system for only $69. That's right, for only $69, we'll come out and perform our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your heating system. We'll also include a complete safety inspection using our state-of-the-art camera system, making sure your heating system is safe to operate this winter. Plus, we'll run a carbon monoxide test on your heating system, all for only $69. If that's not enough, as your smart home provider, we'll include a free Nest Hub with your paid tune-up while supplies last. You can have the peace of mind knowing your heating system is safe and ready to use on those cold winter nights. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. And call this week, and we'll perform your heating system tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Dave is preparing to call the Tiger action tonight against Tulane, 8 o'clock tip. You can listen to Dave, and, of course, you can watch it on ESPN2, and we will talk about it tomorrow. We'll talk about it in advance of the game. You know, when we have all the answers before they ever play, we'll do that with Mike DeCourcy after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour, and that's the good people down on Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Go online to DeSotoAutoSales.com and check out all the many happy referrals and look at all the beautiful cars. They're very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. All the cars checked out bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in and you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, down-home environment, no high-pressure sales. They care about your time, though, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we live in a world today where time really matters. You walk in, Within 45 minutes, test drive the car you want, get credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in your new car in time to do it over your busy lunch hour or like right now, immediately after work. At DeSoto Auto Sales, check out those referrals at DeSotoAutoSales.com, but get down to 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. Joining us now from the Sporting News on Twitter at TSN Mike, one of the great voices of college basketball, of sports in the United States. If Tony Barnhart's Mr. College Football, our next guest, he's Mr. College Basketball. Mike DeCourcy joins us now. And, Mike, we've made it through another week, even after Coach K and his protestations, even after his tay-to-tay with Nate Oates. They've had an armistice of sorts. I don't want to drag you into who won or who lost out of that, but it feels like with another week behind us, might be getting some momentum for this college basketball season.
Yeah, we're hearing at different conferences making backup plans, the possibility of perhaps playing in what are now being termed as controlled environments rather than bubbles. It takes a lot of money to secure a bubble. The controlled environment concept is, I would presume, not as expensive, and there's no guarantees in these circumstances that you're going to have a virus-free experience. But their players and coaches and other personnel will be tested on the way in, and of course they'll continue to be tested. But the access would be controlled. And I know the Big East is discussing this as a possibility, but I do think that we're moving further along, and we're seeing more games get played. And yes, there are still games that get postponed. There's no question about that. But a vast majority, we're up to we're close to 90% of Division I programs are active right now. Different teams are coming on, coming off, but for the most part, games are getting played, and as I said a week ago, I said in my column, I still believe that for the athletes who are Division I players, that they're happier when they're playing, and I know that there's some who are concerned about mental health, and I believe that, and I know I've talked to a lot of players in the last week, and there has been no expression that they don't want to be doing this. And some have specifically said they absolutely want to be doing this when we discussed it. And secondarily from I don't want to say secondarily because it's really the primary concern. Primary concern is the physical health, staying away from the virus. And I still believe that whether it's in a controlled environment or in the current circumstance, I still believe that athletes are better protected from the virus there where they are than if you just sort of sent them home. And then what would they do? Out in the public, because they still got to play, they still got to work out, got to stay in shape. They're not going to just be doing sit-ups in their, near their couch. They got to be active, and I don't see how they can do that away from their current circumstance and be as safe as where they are.
I'm with you, Mike. I think that in this year of no normalcy, that these guys want some form of normalcy, and playing college basketball and being on campus and working out, practicing with their team is where they want to be. Now, obviously, Tigers start conference play tonight down in New Orleans. Is there anything that you saw in the Tigers' loss to Auburn that made you feel more confident in the University of Memphis going forward into conference play?
No, I did. Honestly, I mean, if you're going to be a challenger for the American Conference title, Auburn, in that particular Auburn team playing in that particular fashion is a game you should win. Mm-hmm. They did not perform well in that game, and what I see when I watch the Tigers is I just don't see enough commitment to their offense, to their offensive plan. When I watch them, I don't see a connection, that the kind of connection that you need, and the kind of will to go through difficult circumstances. You're playing teams that are, they're scouting you. They're going to make it as hard as possible, and I think too often Memphis relents on offense. They they don't go through the play. They just say, okay, I'm kind of open, and this, it's going to be hard to get the ball where I want it to go, so let's just take the shot. And that's how a group of reasonably good shooters are shooting 30.4% from three-point range. That's how a very talented offensive group is shooting 41.7% from the field. That you're not winning at the highest level of the American Conference doing that. And remember, those numbers are with several mid to low major teams thrown into the mix. There aren't very many throwaway games in the American. There may be some bad teams in there. We'll find out in time, but there aren't. You're going to have to play well in order to beat the majority of the teams in that league, and you're going to have to play great to beat teams like Houston. So they just have to be better.
Mike, I've said with the 20 conference games for the Tigers, like tonight, for instance, at Tulane, well, you sure can't have a toe stubber there. A win doesn't get you anything. A loss, it is absolutely devastating. And then when you play the good teams where you can really get some RPI and some committee cred, even if you play them closely but lose, that gets you nothing. So when you play the bad teams, it gets you very little. When you play the good, if you don't win, it's just another lost opportunity.
Yeah, I think that for them, the first priority has to be trying to contend for the league title. I think that's the first thing you try to do. Because if you're doing that, if you're first or second in this league, then you're really good. Because we've seen that since the conference was formed, we've seen that if you're in the top 2 or 3 of the league, you're probably going to the tournament. You're probably getting a reasonable seed, not 12 or 13 or whatever. That's the first goal. And so even though Tulane might not be a victory that helps your net ranking or whatever, it's an essential victory because you want to finish first or second or third, something like that. And again, the main thing when you go to Tulane is you have to start to play with that connected nature is that you didn't have when you played against Auburn and that you didn't have when you played VCU in Western Kentucky. It was understandable in those first couple of games because the players are still relatively new to each other. They didn't have exhibitions. A lot of guys are new to their roles, all that stuff. It was understandable. But then you had Ark State and you had Central Arkansas and you had Mississippi Valley State. And that was the whole idea of those games is to work out your problems. So that when you play a good team, and Auburn's not a great team, guys. I mean, they're not. So when you play a good team like Auburn, you're ready to play that game the way you're supposed to play it. And I was disappointed that as the longer that game wore on, the less committed they seemed to be to running through their offense.
You're exactly right, Mike. It was a little disappointing, especially down the stretch, and the last couple of minutes just couldn't get anything to fall or take any decently good look shots. But switching over to the SEC, obviously I think we can all agree Tennessee still the number one team in the SEC. Has Mizzou kind of planted itself as the second best team in the SEC after their big win against Illinois?
I will say that after watching the Vols against Cincinnati, Tennessee has the highest ranking and they certainly have the highest ceiling. But they got to play a lot better than that to be the best team in this league. And the SEC, one of the interesting things about the SEC is that it's hard to tell who's not going to be good, if anybody. There's nobody out there that is completely rolling over. And then some of the teams haven't played a lot of games. And South Carolina only played 3 games and lost 2 of them, so there's maybe one that you think it might have a chance to not be very good, but I have a lot of belief in Frank Martin to try to turn that around. So it's a league in which I think that the Vols have to be sharp. They have to be sharper than they were on Saturday. I didn't think Cincinnati played very well, and they were right in the game in the final 5 minutes. And of course, Tennessee finished great, and so they closed really well, and that's a good sign. But Vols have to play better than they did that day. Mizzou has played extraordinarily well, and they're a team that they've had such bad fortune over the last 3 years. 3 years ago, Michael Porter, who they thought was going to be a one and done top 5 pick, and then they lose him for almost the entire year because of the back injury, and that back injury sticks with him for a while, and he just sort of had his breakout in this year's playoffs. Then the following year, his brother, who was 7 feet tall and really skilled, a lot of ability, and I actually think I saw his last college practice, or one of them, because a day or two after I was out there to see him play, to see him practice, then he goes down and misses the year. And then a year ago, Jeremiah Tillman missed half the year with injury. He's their big guy now. And so they finally have everybody that they expected to have on this year's team, and they've gotten through 5 games. Now the key for them is keep all that group together and not have another bout with bad luck. It's been an every year thing for them under Conzo Martin, and right now through 5 games they've been whole and they've been terrific.
Mike, I see a lot of teams that look a lot alike other teams, for good, bad, for good, average, and not so good. When I see the really good, they all look alike. I'm thinking Big Ten. When I see kind of okay, I'm thinking SEC. When I'm thinking not very good, I see AAC. But when I see that top level of the Big Ten, I think I see a big difference in everybody else I've been watching. And then in the SEC, they all look alike. And I know Kentucky's not 14th out of 14th, but right now that's where they land.
Right. Yeah, I think that John hasn't made very many mistakes over the course of his career, but I will say that I don't understand the nature of their schedule. I mean, you look. I was talking I was talking in Kansas City yesterday about the strength at the top of the Big 12 and saying, look, Texas is terrific, West Virginia's terrific, KU's really good, Baylor's great. We see all that because we've seen them play significant teams, and then Texas Tech is still ranked. But they've beaten nobody. I mean, they played 5 nobodies and Houston and got drilled by Houston. And so I don't know whether Texas Tech is any good. I suspect they probably will be, but I don't know. But if Kentucky had played, they've got a great coach. But if Kentucky had played the exact same schedule as has Texas Tech, they might even be undefeated. I don't know. They probably have lost to Houston, but they might have beaten them. But they certainly would have beaten all those other teams, and then everybody in Kentucky wouldn't be panicking. They might be saying, well, this hasn't been much of a schedule, but so what? What? I don't know what Cal was trying to prove with this schedule. They are committed to Louisville. They have to play that game, obviously. They're committed to CBS Sports Classic, which in this year they will play Carolina.
It changed. Yeah.
They are committed to the Big 12 Challenge. I think they play Texas in that one. So there are the Champions Classic wherein they played KU. So those 4 games are all on their schedule no matter what, and they were only given basically 7 games to work with. So, I mean, if I were Cal, I'd have called up 3 high school teams. I mean, I would have wanted no part of anybody else with knowing that I had to play those 4, but instead he played one Morehead State, and then they were supposed to play Detroit, and that game got canceled. And so all the rest of the games now are high major games, and it's just a lot for these guys. They're not ready for it.
Mike, when I watch Kentucky play, it's hard to believe, but I know John Calipari is among the best talent evaluators out there, but it looks to me like almost the trifecta of the unthinkable. Doesn't look like a solid, committed point guard, doesn't look like a dangerous outside shooter, and I think his bigs are soft.
Remember, the kid Sarr was brought in as a grad transfer, and he's really skilled, and he's not played in winning programs in the past. I think if there were a circumstance in which, like I said, they got a chance to build some confidence, I think that he would have appeared better within the context. The Keon Brooks, a kid from up the road here in Indiana, who's a terrific talent and a great kid and a real competitor. I mean, he was one of the keys to their comeback at Florida last year when I think they were 19 or 21 down on the final day of the regular season. and came back. And he's been missing the entire time with an injury. And so they lost what, if you want to call it veteran leadership they had, they lost it. And so that hasn't helped. But you're right about the point guard spot. I had not seen Devin Askew before he started to play for them. I watched him in there. It had that combine thing that I think was on ESPNU or SEC Network or one of those. And I watched that, and I wasn't super impressed. I didn't see him go past people. And I thought, okay, we'll see if he can do it. And then they start to play, and he's still not going by anybody. And he's not, and he's a fairly effective shooter, but it doesn't help if you'll never take a shot, man. If you won't shoot the ball, if you're fast and you never run, you're not fast.
No,
and
you're stationary.
He's shooting a good number, but he never shoots. And for a point guard in their offense, with the ability they have to get the ball deep, with the wings they have, when the ball cycles back to him, if he's not willing to take that shot and he's not able to go by people, he's really not helping. So they went with a kid named Terrence Clark, and they put the ball in his hands more often on Saturday, and there were better results to an extent, especially in the second half. But the problem is they just don't understand what it means to compete at the high major level for 40 minutes. And again, that's the way you learn to do that is you play a school from the Southland or a school from the Ohio Valley or something, or the Atlantic Sun. And instead, they're playing all ACC, SEC, Big 12, et cetera, and it's just not working for them.
Mike, some other teams that it hasn't really panned out for in the way that they want, but I want to know who's scratching their head more, Coach Roy Williams at UNC or Coach K at Duke right now?
Well, I think probably Coach K, because with the problems that they've had, and they did both of the games they lost were to great teams, as Stats mentioned before. Both Illinois and Michigan State in particular are terrific, and so they are home losses. But they aren't really home losses because there is nobody there except the players. So that's a little bit problematic. But the real problem for K is that on top of being 2-2 right now, they lost their best freshman, Jalen Johnson, to a foot injury, and I believe it's a foot. And I don't know how long this will be. I may have the particular injury wrong, but I know that he's out currently. They're supposed to play Notre Dame, I think, tonight, and I don't believe he'll play in that game. And then he'll have some time to recover because they're not playing again till after Christmas, after this game against Notre Dame in the ACC. But if he's missing for anything more than just one game, that could be a real blow for the Blue Devils.
Mike, so you've been in arena covering games in person?
I have not.
Okay, I thought you when you referenced the Cincinnati game, I thought you might have caught that one.
No, that game was on TV, so I watched it. Yeah.
When do you think you'll go out, mask up, maybe face shielded up, and cover a game in a great pandemic, or will you?
I want to go to the NCAA tournament. I'd like to go to the Big Ten tournament, but there's just not enough. For me, there's just not enough upside to being in the building right now. I can't talk to anybody. I can't go hang out with let's say it's here at Butler and they're playing. Let's say they play Villanova. I mean, in the old days, a year ago, I could go see Jay Wright. I could go see Matt Fraschilla, my buddy Fran's son. Mike Sheridan would bring out some players to talk to me. I could chat up Laval Jordan. I can do all that. I can't do that now. I can just sit there and try to stay as far away from everybody as possible, and then get on the Zoom call. So there's just not the value to me. And I know the people who covered football. I think you can make the case that there's a real value to that because you can't see the whole field with television. There are things you miss in basketball. There are far fewer. I mean, I analyze in the Big Ten network. I analyze, 200 games a year, sitting in a studio watching it on television, and I get the same. And by listening to our excellent commentators there and watching myself, I can get a feel for what's going on that I can't. That I'm not sure that being in the arena and doing the various things I have to do to be in there, I'm not sure that they necessarily are helpful enough for me to, at my advanced age, take the chance.
Right, and at this point, I think we can see light at the end of the tunnel. I know I heard an expert the other day say this is the beginning of the end, and we sure hope so. And at this point, maybe with a shorter sprint, we can't be too careful. Mike, we look forward to visiting with you next Wednesday on Christmas Eve. Until then, enjoy all these games, and we'll enjoy reading you. As always, you're informative, whether we're reading you or you're with us on Wednesday afternoon. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Stats. And for anybody that's a fan of the Tigers football program, I wrote a piece, not specifically about them, but them in spirit a year ago. The whole college football playoff deal. I wrote about that today with the rankings came out last night, and challenged them on what they have done to the college football playoff with the committee ranking Cincinnati ninth.
We've wrecked our postseason in college football. It's wrecked. It's
you can't wreck what's already wrecked, but they certainly have not made it what it ought to be.
Yeah, this is one where I don't know if it can be put back together again. Mike, thank you so much. We'll visit next week.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Mike.
You got it. Mike DeCourcy with us from the Sporting News. Every Wednesday afternoon, he's brought to you by the Memphis Tourism and Sports Council. Memphis, we've got a fast-paced, exciting sports scene for every fan. We're going to get back to it, whether it's professional, semi-pro, amateur, youth, or college sports events. Memphis checks all the boxes for sports fans, and in 2021, we're going to get back to our sports. Each year, Memphis Tourism and the Memphis Sports Council, they work to recruit sporting events and tournaments that fill local hotels, restaurants, and attractions with out-of-town athletes and the family and friends to come see them compete. Let's be hopeful about 2021. It's all we can do. The latest numbers show that in a single year before the pandemic, Memphis Sports Council generated 76,000 hotel room nights and an estimated economic impact of $75 million. That's got to be our goal. All the more reason to plow through these last days of masks or whatever, or vaccines or whatever, and get back to normal life. Memphis Tourism and the Memphis Sports Council, that's a winning combination. We come back, someone very critical to the Memphis sports scene. That's the AutoZone Liberty Bowl and all it's done through the years and all the good times it's provided. We talk about that as it's 2 weeks from tomorrow. We talk about it with Steve Earhart.
Do you have opinions?
I think they got a lot of athletic ability.
We want to hear them.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
Call us on the First Bank phone line at 360-8255 or text us on the First Bank text line at 67129.
James Davis is one of those stores that just says Memphis. It's an original. The finest men's clothing in Memphis can be found in the Laurelwood Shopping Center at James Davis. Let's start with the Stant Custom Fitting System. This is relatively new. You can only find it at James Davis Men's Store, and it's where you walk through the door. You're going to take 3 quick measurements, about 15 seconds, and then about a week later, you're going to get the perfect fitting shirt. I mean, in the neck where you can tie your ties comfortably, all kinds of colors, all kinds of fabrics. The same thing with pants. A couple of measurements. A week later, you've got a perfect fitting in the waist, in the leg, pair of pants that makes you feel good. And they still have the great Paul Battenley suit deal. 2 for $7.95. You look great on Zoom calls. Sweaters and pullovers, perfect for eating outside. The best place to go for men's clothing in Memphis. It's simple. James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center.
What's up, Memphis? This is former Memphis kicker Steven Gostkowski. I know you've heard of Platinum Jewelers by now. You've heard from former Grizzly Mike Miller and my man D'Angelo Williams tell you about them. Now take it from me, a 2-time Super Bowl champ. Platinum Jewelers is the best in the business. When it's time for jewelry, make sure you give Platinum Jewelers a look before you buy.
Platinum Jewelers has a brand new location in Germantown at 9387 Poplar Avenue. Visit them or at 545 Perkins Extended in East Memphis or online at platinumjewelers.com.
Farmers Insurance knows that there's a not-so-subtle difference between the sound of a car hitting your rear bumper and the sound of a clown car hitting your rear bumper.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry about that.
We call that a 3-ring fender bender, and we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent.
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Taking on that next oil change yourself is a great idea. We can help you get started. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge full synthetic motor oil and an STP extended life oil filter for just $31.99. You can even get it all fast your way with our next day delivery or free same-day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the Alley since 1948.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
We knew this year in college football and on the bowl scene, it was going to be some choppy waters, and it has been that with a lot of teams opting out, including Virginia Tech opting out, breaking a 27-year bowl appearance streak. Others are doing that from around college football. We talk the AutoZone Liberty Bowl with the executive director of that game every week at this time. 2 weeks tomorrow, it will be kickoff for the 62nd AutoZone Liberty Bowl. A great tradition, my favorite in Memphis. Steve Earhart, good afternoon to you, and it is decision time this weekend at some point Saturday or Sunday, and the announcement on Sunday, you will know the participants for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl for 2020.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It took a long time coming, it seems like, but you're right. Sunday is the key day, and we'll know a lot more about the outcome of the games on Saturday night. And then we used to always fret all night, stay up all night, wondering what's going to happen. But the CFP committee, but at the College Football Playoff Committee, they're already hunkered down there in Dallas, and then they meet in the morning, and then by noon Central Time, they come out. They kind of drag it out there. They first of all select the top 4 that would populate the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, the 1-4, 2-3 matchup, and then a little while later they pick the other 8 teams that fill up the other, what we used to call the New Year's 6 bowls. And then as soon as that takes place, then the rest of the bowls we make, our assignments. And when I say our assignments, and it's a little bit different this year because all the leagues played different schedules. The SEC, of course, played 10 regular season conference games. They used to only play 8 and then have 4 teams. They usually would win 3 or 4 of those games. So that's why this year everybody is eligible to play that wants to play in a bowl game. So it's a lot different, as you said at the outset. There's some teams that, they've had tough seasons, or they've had a lot of players, in difficulty, whether it's COVID or contact tracing or just leaving the team and in a very tough, challenging year. So The selections will be made. We'll have big announcements here probably mid-afternoon on Sunday as to who will be representing the SEC and who will be representing the Big 12 in our game on December 31st.
Steve, speaking of the Big 12, K-State opted out today. Does that have y'all worried, or with as far as trickle-down effect of these bowl games, of possibly y'all not getting a Big 12 representative and having to look elsewhere?
No, I mean, it was concerning, but we've been in touch with the Big 12 and the other teams, and Kansas State had a disappointing year. You know, they had a losing record, so normally they would not be going to a bowl game. They had a big year last year. Remember, they played here in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and they've had some serious outbreaks of COVID there. So that's what the big risk is the outbreaks of COVID, and you know, which teams have taken care of the business or which teams were lucky in a certain ways. But we've been in touch with all the other teams in the Big 12, and you know, we're not going to get Oklahoma or Iowa State, but Texas, TCU, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, all these guys, they said that we're really focused on playing, and for various reasons. For example, let's talk about West Virginia. They were not in a bowl game last year, brand new coach, playing well. They did not get to play their last game against Oklahoma, which they were all fired up, so they didn't get to play their last home game. So they've expressed to us that they're very motivated about wanting to play in a bowl game, and in particular in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And the same thing is true with TCU, Oklahoma State. So we feel good about those teams are motivated. And you can see it almost goes conference by conference. You know, is there a greater motivation in the SEC than in the ACC? I would say probably yes, because there's been a lot of teams basically opt out, if that's the right word, in the ACC. But in the SEC, you know, we know LSU is out because of their, you know, self-imposed probation, and then I would predict that Vanderbilt winless and just having so few players this year. But I think the rest of them all want to play, and even like I know Mississippi State, who's had a struggling new year, but they got a lot of enthusiasm there, new coach. I think they'd like to play in a bowl, get those extra 3 weeks of practice, and challenge a team from another conference. So it is a very new and unique year, but we're looking forward to having a good matchup. I honestly don't know who would be coming out of the SEC. It could be, and I know all these national prognosticators, they've got everybody from Ole Miss to Kentucky to Tennessee to Arkansas to Mississippi State coming to play in our game. And any of those would be in this very tough year. It'd be a victory to have any one of those teams that have a lot of geographical connection to Memphis, as well as a lot of alumni, fans, and people that are connected with those universities here in the Memphis area.
Steve, I prefaced this with, and I warned our audience earlier that I was going to ask it. It's almost from the lunatic question of the day, but here it is. Could you see, in this 2020 where we've seen things that we never dreamed of, could you see a team that played in this first round of games, maybe a game next week, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, turning around and playing in another bowl game, 2 bowls in 1 year?
Boy, I had not thought of that, and I'm not sure that would happen. But you know, I guess in this year I better be careful about saying, because I know there's a lot of teams that didn't get to play the full schedule of games, and you look at some of these schools that are playing actual games. Conference games, not the championship games, here on Saturday. So in addition to the championship games, there's regular games going on. So I guess that's not as far-fetched as you might think. So stats are always ahead of the curve there, and that might be something like a team.
I know it.
Let's say
I know it's kind of plan C, but it may need to be thought about.
Yeah. Well, now that you bring it up, I mean, look at BYU, and hats off to them, and Coastal Carolina. They played with 2 or 3 days notice. I mean, they put together a game because some other games fell apart. So it's very creative. So who knows? Somebody that plays, the University of Memphis plays on the 23rd. But my guess is that they'll probably, once they finish that bowl game, they'll all head home. But somebody that plays early, that if they get an opportunity to go, like, I guarantee if BYU has an early game, they'll want to go get on somebody, because they've been so upset ever since they got knocked down in the. They thought they were doing the right thing by playing Coastal Carolina on short notice, and then they lose in the last play of the game and get knocked down 10 spots or whatever. They got knocked down 5 or 6 spots. So that's interesting in theory. I'll have to bring that up.
Okay.
Steve, I hope that this isn't the case, but I feel like I got to ask with all the opt-outs, because I love college football bowl games. I go to 1 or 2 every year. I always go to Liberty Bowl, and then whatever bowl the University of Memphis is in. But is there any concern around the bowl community that with the opt-out this year that it's setting somewhat of a precedent going forward, that we could see teams opting out in 2021 and in years into the future?
You know, the only opting out I've seen is limited to the very difficult situations brought on by COVID. Now, we've always known that some of the, what I call the hotshot players, that, you know, they've got an agent in their ear telling them they need to go get ready, or they need to go take some money, you know, quite frankly, and they better be careful, they might get hurt. But that's only a handful of players. And quite frankly, I kind of like the idea that a bowl game is really an opportunity for the entire team, not just the hot shots that are going to go into the NFL, but those players that have struggled and worked so hard for months and years get a chance to play that game, celebrate their camaraderie with their teammates. And so this year I've asked several of the universities about that very question, and they say, now we'll see how good some of these coaches really are. Now they may have to coach up the guys that are second and third stringers, but it gives them a chance to play. And again, my hat's off to Mike Leach down there at Mississippi State. I mean, he's been playing often some of those games. He was at Georgia with less than 50 scholarship players, and he almost beat Georgia at their place.
Played well.
So, and played well. That's exactly right. So, and there's been many others like that, but that's been the song and dance that I have heard, is that, hey, we need the playing time. There's plenty of players that want to play, and so if there's an opt-out situation, it's mainly caused by the COVID and being locked up for 6 months, and I can see some of that. But I also think we don't want to start a precedent about this too, because one thing, and having been a long time ago, you know, dumb young assistant coach, you know, these players, they're getting a pretty good deal here between, you know, your tuition, your fees, your room and board, and, you know, most of them getting an extra $5,000 to $10,000 cash on top of it, you know, and the NCAA, I think, made it a little too easy to say, okay, go ahead and opt out, and you get to keep all that stuff. It's people in real life, you and I, you know, you don't come to work for a year, you don't get all the benefits oftentimes in the real world. So I think the NCAA is going to take a much harder look about saying, well, wait a minute, if somebody quits, you know, should we continue to pay them for a year, which is basically, people hate to use the word pay, but I mean, a college scholarship at most universities and all the stuff that comes with it is well north of $50,000. So it's not like we're sending guys down into the coal mines, you know. So I think that we need to be careful in the future about not encouraging this, quote, opting out, because that's not a good lesson for young men in life. You know, hey, well, just decide whether you want to do it or not. Now, if you, for very good reasons, you give up the game of football, but, you know, I think, you know, in general terms, I think we need to be held people accountable, and that's going to help them in their later life as well.
And you're right, Steve, about the opting out. We used to call it something else. We used to call it being a quitter, but we've
Yeah.
kind of sanitized the language with that. And nobody's making them play. Nobody's making them sign at that school, and nobody's making them go through those workouts. Last thing for Steve Earhart, the executive director of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. 2 weeks from tomorrow will be the 62nd AutoZone Liberty Bowl between a team from the SEC and from the Big 12. Steve, going forward, big if here, if and when the college football playoff system, if it were to expand to 8 teams and incorporate more bowls, would you and AutoZone and the powers that be at the long-standing AutoZone Liberty Bowl, would you go to the mat with corporate Memphis calling in every marker you can to try to be a part of that playoff system, even if it rotated over 2 or 3 years?
Well, let me answer it this way. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl has been a strong member of the bowls for 62 years. We're the 7th oldest bowl game, and you know, having moved here from Philadelphia when there were only a handful of bowls, and we do have great community support with AutoZone, a hometown title sponsor that's been with us for 17 years. It's been such a strong partner with us, and I think we would absolutely do whatever we had to do, and we want to be here strong for another 62 years. So, we haven't planned on that, and I'm not so certain that there's going to be a big expansion, of this playoffs. Certainly not for the next 5 years. This is the beginning. This is the first year of a new 6-year deal. So, and this has been such a challenging and unusual year that I think people will kind of collect themselves next year and get back into the swing of things. And so,
sure.
But yes, we intend to be here and be strong, and with all the support from the community, and that's so important. And I want to reach out to all your listeners that's why we're up there and we're here, and we're not bailing out. We're going to play our game because of the strong support of the community and the steadfast support of our key sponsors. We have presenting sponsors of Bass Pro Shops and FedEx and Pennzoil, and we have about 150 corporate sponsors. Can't name them all here, that are very dedicated, and hundreds of members of our association. So it's really a great tradition, and it's a great community event.
Sure
with the highest rated telecast coming out of Memphis last year was the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, which gives us a chance to feature Memphis. And last year, the day of our game was the day that St. Jude had broke their record for all-time contributions. Now, not all because of us, but it was a 4-hour infomercial about St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So, as the AutoZone folks say, it's a bringing together of several great brands, our community and AutoZone, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and a great community. And I think I read last week on here some of the letters we got when we named our teams of the decades, and Urban Meyer, who talked about what a great experience he had here. So, again, thank you to everybody in the community. And when the teams roll in here in town, that'll be, 2 weeks they'll be here. And, that's what sets us apart, is the great hospitality and kindness of the community to our visitors.
It sure does, Steve, and I'll do anything forever, for as long as I can, to help the AutoZone Liberty Bowl and to help you. Thank you for your time. We'll visit next week. Thank you, Steve.
One last thing, since you're the historian in the group, we got a call today from Fox Sports, and they're telecasting the Penn State Illinois game this weekend, and they wanted the footage from the days in history of the Penn State, Alabama, the very original AutoZone Liberty Bowl in 1959. Wow. So they were going to show it on their telecast. It was great looking back to that old footage in Bear Bryant's very first game
versus Bear Bryant?
in 1959. Yeah. So they're going to use that old black and white footage there this Saturday.
Good stuff. I love that. Rip Engel versus Bear Bryant on that day. Thank you, Steve. We'll visit next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
You got Steve Earhart with the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Speaking of down memory lane, 46 years ago tonight, Drew Barrett, I was at the Tennessee-Maryland AutoZone Liberty Bowl, 7-3 Tennessee win. Randy Wallace hit Larry Severs in the north end zone on a very controversial touchdown that would be overturned in about 2 seconds now. Tennessee won 7-3. That night, Tommy West ejected from the game for defending his teammate Condridge Holloway after a really cheap shot and some very unsportsmanlike language and behavior toward Condridge Holloway. Tommy West stepped in and took a swing at Randy White and got ejected from the game.
Well,
Tommy West wasn't scared of anybody, was he?
Oh, no, he wasn't. And he wasn't scared when he was a coach here. And I guarantee up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, he still ain't scared.
One of my all-time favorites. We're down to the last few days of this 2020, and everyone at All-Star Chevrolet, they asked me to say thank you. Thank you to all the great customers for sticking with them through all the challenges this year. Now, if you want an unreal deal on a new Chevy, Olive Branch is where you want to be. All-Star Chevrolet, they have year-end markdowns on everything. I mean steep markdowns on everything. New Silverados, Traverse, Equinox, Suburban, Tahoes, Camaros, Impalas. They have new 2020 and 2021 Silverados and Traverse with plenty of cash back. The new Camaros, my favorite, the Impala. Go make them an offer on any new Chevy car, SUV or truck you want. They'll take it. All posted on the website at allstarautogroup.com. The certified pre-owned Chevys are the best selection anywhere, barely driven and fully warranted. Everyone at All-Star Chevrolet with one job. Make sure you have fun, get the best deal, and do it in record time. Remember, it's not South Haven, it's not the Pike, it's not Mount Moriah, it's not Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to Kraft Goodman Road in Olive Branch for the end-of-year deal you will never forget. Go to allstarautogroup.com. Happy New Year from all your friends down at All-Star Chevrolet. When we come back, we wrap up this Wednesday afternoon. We do it with Taco Bell Crunch Time. That's next on Sports Time.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops this holiday season for the hottest gifts from Titleist. Featuring the Titleist TSI medals with an all-new aerospace titanium-based construction that's never been used before in golf. This new engineering pushes the boundaries of speed. TSI is faster in air and faster at impact to give you the longest, straightest, best-looking, best-sounding Titleist medals ever. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, your holiday headquarters since 1968, and shop online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
How's the Christmas shopping going? Frontier Western Store and Olive Branch is here to make it a lot easier. Everyone loves something from Frontier. Ladies' boutique style clothing, Carhartt for the guys, and boots for everyone. For Frontier's boutique department, you'll find the latest trends at incredible prices. We also carry a huge inventory of basics like leggings, tops, tunics, dresses, CC beanies, scarves, gloves, new styles of fleece jackets, and much, much more. Guys will be after Frontier's large assortment of Carhartt and Ariat jeans and shirts. Now, how about a new coat, jacket, or insulated overalls? Frontier has that too. Don't forget the boots. Work boots and dress boots from Rocky, Dan Post, Ariat, and more. Frontier is the place to come for name brand boots at an everyday low price. There are thousands of boots available in all sizes for men, women, and children. Frontier gift cards are also available and make a perfect last-minute gift. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, or shop online 24/7 at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started, plus 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. Zero heartburn is possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, how many did we hit, man?
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
Boop! Choo!
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
All one. Odd two. Odd three. Hey!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Drew, we learned today, of course recruiting matters. And, of course, those stars and those ranking matters. I don't like the early signing period. I said it would be a mess. It mostly been one. Really be a mess this week with some more coaching changes. A lot of places don't have a coach. Some will have a different coach than the player signed with today. And the bowl team, the preparation for it's out the door. But at least it did this, Drew. It took some of the focus off that goofiness of the first Wednesday in February, and that's good because that got real old every year for me.
You're not big of the you don't like the hat dance? Come on, everybody loves the hat dance.
I didn't mind the hat dance. I don't mind the youngsters celebrating a lot of work put in, but kind of when they started bringing their own mascots to the signing,
it's a little much.
It got a little much, and the focus of it got a little much. What'd you learn?
Learned today that MLB has announced that it will officially elevate the Negro Leagues to Major League status. The Negro Leagues will become the 7th league to be recognized as Major League status, joining the National League, American Association, Union Association, Players League, and the Federal League. This is probably the first thing Rob Manfred has done in his time as commissioner that I like and agree with, because I've always thought the Negro Leagues should and now will be on the exact same level as Major League Baseball.
Great take. And if I could advise people, if you want to read one baseball book, there's so many that I could suggest, but if I could suggest one, it's this one. And the title of it, Only the Ball Was White. It is the full history of the Negro Leagues, and Memphis a big part of that, and the superstars from that. Josh Gibson, people should know his place in baseball history. Good take, Drew. They really
should. And if you're going down to Montgomery, I highly suggest you stop in Birmingham check out Rick Wood. Got to play there. Was lucky enough to play there in high school. Coolest feeling in my life, knowing I'm standing on the exact same mound as Satchel Paige. Greatest feeling in my life.
Real good stuff. And Rick Wood is that famous. Could have done without. Same names at the CFP. Same names in recruiting. Same names for all the awards, post-pandemic college football, a lot to address. And while I'm for an 18 playoff, I got some interesting ideas about that. Express some of them with Steve. Drew, you know how I feel about some of the things I think we can do, but I don't think even with that, the eventual champions won't change, but how we get to that must change. What is it you could have done without?
I could have done without the news from Virginia Tech today that they'll be opting out of the bowl game this year, ending the nation's longest streak at 27 years. While I completely understand the reason for Coach Fuente gave us today about why they're opting out, because players, frankly, they want to be home with their families for Christmas at the very long and tiresome year of college football. While I completely get it, it still does make me a little sad to see a bowl streak at that big come to end that way, and especially just put this in real life terms. That streak started a year before I was even born. So Virginia Tech has literally been in a bowl game every year since I've been alive.
You know, they had to really scrap to qualify last year, and then for it to end this way. So I know at some point this year I have said this would be the year that a lot of streaks would end. Number of games in a row you've been to, the number of years you've been to a game. And for Virginia Tech, that really gaudy streak. Keeping a close eye on the Tigers' free throw shooting tonight against Tulane. Another performance from the free throw line against Tulane like they had against Auburn could lead to a whole new debate around Tigers basketball tomorrow. One I don't think we're really ready to have right now, and one that I didn't think we would ever have, especially this quickly. Also, keep an eye on Duke. They're playing tonight at Notre Dame. They grace us with their presence. They will play a conference game against Notre Dame tonight. Go Notre Dame. And a lot of conference basketball games tonight. What are you keeping a close eye on?
I'm going to keep a close eye on, of course, the Tigers in NOLA against the Green Wave. More signing news coming out of college football. More bowl game news, hopefully all positive and no more of these opt-outs and negatives. Going to keep an eye on the Duke and Notre Dame game. And Nova hosting Butler should be a good matchup.
Yeah, and Butler hadn't played in many games. I think just 2 times out to the starters line for Butler this year. Villanova very, very seasoned there. Tomorrow we'll have Bill Bender from the Sporting News. We'll have Keith Smith back with us from Yahoo Sports on all things NBA. Russell Copeland on the NFL. Greg Gaston on the Tigers. Want to thank today having TJ Reeves, Pat Smith, Mike DeCourcy, and Steve Earhart from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Dave's on the call for the Tigers tonight. He will be back tomorrow. For Dave, for Drew, I'm Brett. We want you back with us tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and we'll talk all the happenings from tonight in the Tigers game. Talk to you tomorrow at 3.